A new dawn breaks across the plains. Hope rekindles in the crimson tide, as freedom's anthem calls our names. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day. Fields of dreams are ripe once more. Factories hum with honest pride. Our banner waves on every shore, with courage marching by our side. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day. Through trials dark, we found our steel. The eagle's cry breaks through the night. In unity, our wounds now heal. We chase the dawn with fearless light. Great again, we rise as one, under stars that guide our way. A song of promise has begun, and strength returns in light of day.
Hey, everybody. How you doing out there? What's going on? Tonight, we got a great show for you. We got our guys from the UK. They've descended upon America for the night. We got 42, Sensum, and Mr. Pakka. I always call him Mr. Pakka. How's everybody doing? Hey, Pam's here. How you doing, girlfriend? My sister's here. How you doing, sister? Let's see. Bass, good to see you, brother. Commander, always. Anglo, good to see you, man. How's everybody doing? How was your week? Well, at least since, what were we on? Thursday? I think Thursday. Yeah. Wednesday? Thursday? I can't remember.
Friday.
No. What night my last stream was? It was in the middle of the week. Yeah, I forget. How you guys doing? What's going on?
Well, I have started my spring cleaning, and so far it's going excellent.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I've got the flat basic clean done, so everything's right. And tomorrow I'm going to start pulling out the sofas and getting in all the nooks and crannies and do the spring clean. Oh, and the other thing is, well, I absolutely should have said first, Happy Easter, everyone.
Yep. Happy Easter, everybody.
Happy Easter.
Excellent. Yep. Yeah, it's Good Friday. Normally I'd go to church, but now I do a show. So hit that like button, guys, if you haven't already, please. It gives us a boost in the algorithm, I think. At least that's what they tell me. So what else is going on? What's going on with you, Mr. Sensum? Is it Sensum Communem? Or how do you say it?
It's right. Communem, yeah. It's basically Latin for common sense because common sense was already taken.
There you go. Nice. I love it. What's going on with you, man?
Yeah, I've been busy this week. Just work busy, fortunately. Yeah, it's burned, and I've got busy. I didn't realize because funnily enough, I'd forgotten all about streaming this evening, and when I checked Telegram later on, I saw the link there from 42. I thought, oh crikey, yeah. I forgot
cool.
about that.
You guys are
And
on
then-
Telegram? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then tomorrow night, 8 p.m. UK time, so I think that's probably 5 hours ahead of you. We're doing a stream on my channel. It's the Easter stream, the irreverent Easter stream, as we call
cool.
it. So we'll be doing that there. So that's 8 till 10:30, and then 42's on at 10:30, obviously, after that. And then on Sunday, funnily enough, just got asked today, our good friend Ragnar Ironspear has asked me to go on his show. So I'm like buses, you don't get one at all, and then 3 come at once.
You're busy.
So
in
that's
other
me.
words. Yeah, you're busy.
Busy yapping, yeah.
That's all right. Hey, Pakka, what's going on?
Nothing at all's going on with me. I just carry on as normal, doing very little, enjoying my Easter weekend.
Yes, but you chime in, brother. That's what we wait for, the chime in.
Okay, well, you might hear from me. I might fall asleep. I didn't know I was coming this evening.
No reflection on us, right?
I'd already started drinking when I found out I was meant to be here. So, I'll see how this goes.
Did we lose Dr. Jade? Dr. Jade, you there? It's like the movie Dr. Jade instead of Dr. Jones. What's up, Willie? Where'd he go? Wow, he went away real fast because everybody else posted. What's up, Linda?
I've been swatted. So
what's up, Audrey? Haven't seen you before, but let me see. My family won't talk to me because I voted for a felon. Yeah, well, Nelson, wow, you're a real asshole. All right. We got this guy Nelson that used to bust my brother's balls on his channel, so I'm just gonna kick him. The hell with it. Because he's a jackass who shouldn't be here. Oh wow, Anglo, thank you. Say hello to my fellow Stokey Sensum Rich and Pakka, my friend, and 42, my brother from Ulster. Nice. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, I had asked you the other day, but I guess you had left. I guess you weren't near the stream. I had asked you where you from, because I don't know where any of you. I know 42. He's from Ireland. I know that, but you other guys, where are you from?
Northern Ireland.
Yeah, Northern. Yeah, pardon me. I'm sorry.
We'll
Ulster.
Yeah, Ulster. We will get there.
Yes.
But the thing is, Rich, when you say Northern Ireland, you don't actually use the T and the H part.
Tina.
So you basically say Northern Ireland. That's what it is.
Northern Ireland. This is an absolute. The whole name of Northern Ireland is an absolute cluster fuck, because for a start, the whole island used to be called Ireland. Then we parted company in 1921. We had the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, but it should have been Ulster, but Ulster is 9 counties and Northern Ireland's only 6, and the border's not where it should have been. It's up, and the actual. So we ended up with a name that really doesn't work well or travel well, and particularly people from other countries or whatnot that get that wrong. I totally get it and understand that that's a genuine mistake. The other problem I have is we've got the fuckers that live in Ireland that refuse to acknowledge the fact that Northern Ireland exists, and call it Narnia and all sorts of shit like that. So it's a really difficult maze to navigate, so don't worry about it, Rich. We'll get there in the end, and I'll give you a little jags, but I'm not meaning anything serious.
I hear you.
It's
cool.
I know whenever people are doing it deliberately, and you're not.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I'm going to start. I wrote a story today. I published it today, so I'm going to read it. It's about a lot of people were hitting me up about Pam Bondi because I didn't say enough the other day, but because she was fired, she was Trump's AG. There's a lot of reasons she was fired. I think this is all speculation because Trump gave glowing review of her work, but there's a bunch of reasons why, and I'm just going to give my speculation. I'll read that, and then we'll get into whatever you guys want to talk about. I just wanted to get this out there today. Let me share that screen. Yeah, I called it From Promises to Silence, What Went Wrong with Pam Bondi. There she is, taking her stuff out. That's a shame. That was AI, by the way. But yeah, I did that with AI. So, okay, so Thursday marked day 400 since the moment many point to as the beginning of what they see as a major misstep involving the Epstein files under former Attorney General Pam Bondi. We can now say former. What was expected to be serious and disciplined handling of sensitive material instead became, in the eyes of critics, a public relations fiasco. It was a nightmare. It left even supportive voices frustrated and disillusioned. She really screwed that up, but I don't think that's why she was booted. Rumors have circulated that Bondi's standing, including speculation that President Trump may have dismissed her personally. Actually, he's the reason, because I think he was pissed at her for the Swalwell. Some have tied that speculation to controversy surrounding Congressman Eric Swalwell. He's a jagoff from California. The guy who we call him Eric Fartswell because he farted in the middle of an interview one time and then claimed it wasn't him. With claims about his personal conduct and alleged connections to raising further questions about judgment and associations. Many believe Trump was angry with Bondi because she warned him that the FBI was looking at his activities. These rumors, whether verified or not, have only added fuel to an already tense situation. What was going on was he's involved in a lot more than just the Fang thing. Okay, we're talking criminal stuff. He's also known as a womanizer. I guess women are drawn to power out in California because he was banging anything that moved, right? I mean, when he came home, the fish stopped swimming in the bowl, like that's apparently what he was. And he did a lot of really nasty things. And so the FBI was looking into him for the Fang thing because the Democrats, they circle the wagons around people that do that. And they want to know how much information he gave her, right? So that was that situation. Now, she apparently, because I thought, why in God's name would she tell him, warn him that the FBI was looking? And here, apparently they were friends, not, hey, let's hang out, but they were cordial with each other and they were friendly. Why? I don't know, but because she's not a moron. He's an actual moron, I think. All right. Bondi served as Attorney General for 14 months. In the context of a 4-year presidential term, that represents a significant portion of time, nearly 30% of a president's term, to be exact. Critics argue that during that period, key expectations were not met. There were numerous high-profile controversies and allegations there that, in their view, warranted investigation or prosecution, but saw no action. Among those concerns were accusations that Dr. Anthony Fauci misled Congress during testimony related to COVID-19. Despite public disputes over his statements, no prosecution followed. Similarly, allegations surrounding intelligence assessments tied to the 2016 election, including claims that figures like John Brennan, he was the CIA director during 2016, working for Obama, were involved in misleading conclusions, did not result in legal action despite assertions that evidence had been presented. Now, Brennan is the one that brought the whole dossier, the Steele dossier, to the FBI because the CIA doesn't have law enforcement powers. They don't have that kind of authority. They can't go out and arrest people. So they had to have the FBI do it. And he presented it to Comey, and Comey just bought it hook, line, and sinker. And Brennan and Comey and all of them knew that the Steele dossier was garbage because as a guy, he was the assistant executive deputy director of the Department of Justice, the DOJ at the time, and he told them, Bruce Orr was his name, and he brought them all in a room, everybody involved in the Crossfire Hurricane bullshit. He brought them in and said, whatever you do, don't use that dossier. And they're like, why? It's how we get a FISA warrant. And he said, because it's all garbage. Like, how would you know that? He goes, because my wife wrote the fucking thing. right? Fusion GPS, which was the opposition research company in D.C., they hired his wife, right, Nellie Orr, and because her specialty, she's a Democrat, and her specialty was Russia. So she was able to write things that made it sound like it could be Russian and all that, but it was all garbage stuff. And yet they used it anyway. Well, that means that they lied to a FISA judge and they lied on a FISA warrant. Okay. And that means prison time. Well, now I don't know if the statute has run out or not, but they should still be investigated and their lives should be turned upside down like they did to all of us if they had us. Other flashpoints only deepen the concern, and they are not small or obscure. Take the Ukraine impeachment saga, his first impeachment, Trump's. That episode was presented to the public as a matter of urgent national security, yet to many observers, it looked like a politically driven operation aimed at damaging Donald Trump than a neutral search for truth. Questions about selective leaks, shifting narratives, and the role of intelligence officials were never fully resolved. In other words, nobody got in trouble for any of that. There's no real accountability for how that whole thing unfolded. Then there was the issue of federal law enforcement. Across the country, parents who showed up at local school board meetings to voice concerns suddenly found themselves under scrutiny. These were not hardened criminals. These were mothers and fathers worried about curriculum, discipline, and policies that affected their children. Some raised concerns to gender policies that allow biologically male students into girls' bathrooms and locker rooms. I mean, the fucking left is just crazy. Instead of being heard, many felt that they were treated as potential threats. Now, here's the thing. The FBI marked them as domestic terrorists because the Biden administration had them do that. And then the FBI lied. It was Christopher Steele. He lied to Congress and no, we never did that. Well, guess what? When Kash Patel took over under Trump, they found the memos. And yes, they did. They said that parents who complained and said, I don't want boys in my daughter's bathroom, right? They were treated like domestic terrorists. If you were, I forget what they call it, but if you were a Catholic and you followed the Latin Mass, they deemed them as domestic terrorists. Seriously? I mean, holy Christ. And then there was the treatment of journalists tied to Project Veritas. Their work often targeted powerful institutions, which is supposed to be the role to investigative journalism in a free society. Yet critics argue they were subjected to aggressive legal pressure and enforcement actions that seemed disproportionate. The question many asked was simple. Would the same treatment have applied if the reporting had aligned with the establishment narratives? No, because the left has completely destroyed the DOJ. And you know what? It took Dan Bongino, it took him a year as deputy director, because let's face it, the director of the FBI and the attorney general, they don't really do shit. It's always the deputy that does all the hard work, right? And they'll admit that. Yeah, I'm involved in other things, coordinating stuff, but they do the actual grunt work, right? Well, Bongino told us that it took him and Cash the entire year he was there to weed out all the a-hole agents that were in the FBI. And to get the ones that were there were still plenty of agents there that wanted to do the job the right way, to go after bad guys instead of going after American citizens to placate who was in charge in the White House. But that's what they did under Biden. It was like communism 101, and they did it. Then came the revelations of the Twitter files. Internal communications suggested coordination between government agencies and major social media platforms. Content moderation decisions were made, not always made independently. Instead, there were indications that officials influenced what information could be seen or shared. In other words, the Biden administration forced private corporations to censor speech that they didn't like. In America, that's a huge thing. You can't do that. That's a really bad. And you know what? Anytime, and it used to be in this country, anytime someone in government tried to do that, both parties would be like jumping in their face. You can't do that. And it didn't matter which side they were helping, right? Now, I firmly believe the Republicans are still that way, but the Democrats are not. They sat back. Think about it. Who complained from the left when the Biden administration was forcing Facebook, this very platform? I mean, Tonight we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and we're on Rumble. Rumble was created pretty much because of all the censorship that was going on all the other platforms. Now we find out that it was the government that was forcing the censorship. And yet Pam Bondi's been there 14 months. She did nothing. She went after no one. Taken together, these episodes form a pattern that find difficult to ignore. Each one on its own might be explained away, but when viewed as a whole, they point to a deeper concern about how power is used and who is held accountable when that power is questioned. The list does not end there. It keeps growing. And each new example raises more questions than answers. Take the raid on Trump's Mar-a-Lago. When federal agents executed that search, it was presented as a necessary legal action. But to many Americans, it looked unprecedented. A former president, Donald Trump, had his home searched in a way that had never been done before in modern history. In fact, did you know that when they went in there, they had orders to shoot to kill if anyone got out of line?
They were really hoping Trump was there.
Yeah, they were, and they were hoping that his security, even Secret Service, would try to do something to protect Trump, and they would have shot to kill. They had shoot to kill orders on a former president who was running again. Unbelievable. And the reason they did it is because they wanted to see what he had, because he put out a presidential memo on January 19th, 2021, which was the day before he left office, which meant he was still the president. So he put a memo out where he pointed out that he declassified all the Operation Crossfire Hurricane documents. And they wanted to know exactly what he had on them. And that's why they went there. And yet they had a shoot to kill order on a former president. It's just unprecedented. It's never been done. Would other political figures be treated the same way under similar circumstances? No. At the same time, there are ongoing concerns about conduct inside federal agencies, whistleblower claims, internal disputes, and reports of politicized decision-making have fueled a growing belief that some institutions may not be operating as neutrally as they should. Whether those claims are fully proven or not, the perception alone has been enough to shake confidence. Again, Pam Bondi did nothing about any of this. Okay, now, to her credit, she gets credit for lowering crime in the United States to be the lowest it's been in a very, very long time. She was also behind a lot of the wall, shutting down the illegals coming in. She did go after the fraud up in Minnesota, and now she's going after California, right? But she botched the charges against Letitia James and James Comey, two of the most irritating people as far as getting away with lawfare against Trump. And so this is why a lot of people were really frustrated with her. She did a lot of good things, but you know what? The good things that she did, she didn't get any Facebook time. She didn't get any airtime, Fox News time, which it seems like that's what she was more interested in. You know, none of the big fish did she actually get any indictments on. I mean, think of the January 6th people, right? Like the way they were treated. Like some got like 10 years for what? For doing what? They weren't even the rioters, right? They went into the building. They didn't cause any problems. They got 10 years in prison for that. It's unheard of. And yet Bondi, like, I would like to know who ordered the police to do that? Who ordered the judges? Because I don't know if the judges, if those judges were in the judiciary or under the executive branch, because I know the immigration judges are under the executive branch. But and it's worse if they're under the judiciary, because it means that they were complacent with the communists and the Biden administration to hit these people really hard. They wanted to make it look like that January 6th was some kind of a violent overthrow of the government. It was no such thing. It was people that were completely frustrated that they knew they cheated and stole an election, the Democrats, and yet no one wanted to listen to them. They wanted to certify anyway. And look what we got for it. I don't have to read anymore. Basically, I think she was fired because she didn't get anything done as far as what the people wanted. She didn't get any of it done. Roundtable. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think we were talking about this a little earlier. I really think that there was some mutual stuff going around here, because I think she was very frustrated and just decided that this was not for her.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think she liked the fanfare and all that. But now Todd Blanche is a guy that's taken over, but he's the acting attorney general, which means he's got to, like, if they got to find someone, or I hope it's Todd Blanche, because Todd Blanche is a no-nonsense guy, and he's been with Trump for years. He was representing Trump during his lawfare trials. He stuck with him, even though everybody threatened him. You know, the old, hey, if you want to represent this guy, this is what's going to happen to you bullshit. They did that, and he's like, screw you, I'm sticking with him because I believe in him. So he's fiercely loyal to Trump.
Yeah, and I believe I heard that what Todd Blanche said was if he was offered the job, he said not only no, but hell no.
Yeah. Who did?
Todd Blanche. He said no.
Oh, he already said no?
Yeah, but nobody's offered it to him, but somebody said, would you take the job? He said not only no, but hell no. He doesn't want it.
Really? Because he's the deputy right now. That might be why. Bongino said that. That might be why, because the deputy does all the work, and they might think that he's needed to remain in that spot.
Yeah, I don't know, but this is what I heard. I can't vouch for it. I don't have any proof, but this is what I heard. It's supposition. It's cleared to rumor at this point.
Oh wow!
But that's what I heard. He said that he's not interested if offered.
How about that? I would love to see him. Lee Zeldin was a name that was put up. I'd like to see him too.
If the deputy,
Harmeet Dillon,
if the deputy is the one that does all the work, he possibly feels that he can do more good in that position than
that's what you're right, 40. That's what Bongino said. Do you know who Dan Bongino is? That's what he said earlier. Dan Bongino, he was a New York City cop, and then he became a Secret Service agent, and he got up to the presidential detail. I think he was Clinton and Obama, and then he got out because he just couldn't take it anymore. He just couldn't take it, and then he started a podcast, and then he took over Rush Limbaugh's slot when Rush died, and he took over his slot with a syndicated show for 3 hours. So he was on 4 hours a day, and then Trump asked him. He was at the pinnacle of his career, and everybody listened. Everybody that was a conservative tuned into his show because he's very good at what he does. He has the greatest sources as well because he's never been wrong. He's written three books on the Crossfire Hurricane shit alone, the Russia stuff. He wrote 3 books from 3 different angles. The last one was called Follow the Money, and I've read every one of them. He's just a brilliant guy, but when he talks to you, he's down to earth. He's like a normal New Yorker, you know. He's like very down to earth, but he's so knowledgeable. Anyway, Trump asked him to do the deputy FBI thing. When our president asks you to do something, you don't say no. So he did, and he gave up the entire career in media for that. He was making millions of dollars a year.
I was going to say, do you know how much of a pay cut he took?
Oh yeah, big time. And his wife took over the business, right? And she ran. Oh, hold on. My son's here. What's up? How you doing, boy? How's it going? This is Richie Valor. He's my son. He's the singer that I played a couple of his songs already. How's it going, man? I asked your brother, is he going to Iran? He has not responded. So I don't know. He's in the first cav. I think they would go, but I don't know. They're infantry. Either that or they're going to take the 101st. What's that?
You know who I'd like to see nominated? I want to see Harmeet Dillon.
Yeah, she would be good too.
Yeah, she's very constitutional. She's very constitutional.
Oh yeah, she's a good lawyer too. But hold on, got a show tomorrow. Oh, cool. Where are you playing, son? Tomorrow. What state? He's all over the country now. Crazy. He'll tell me. Yeah. But let's see. What's going on in your neck of the woods, guys? I'd like to hear your stories too. Like, what was the one I heard? Yeah, I heard that the EU. I know you guys aren't in the EU anymore. You know the Brexit.
Oh well, I am.
Oh, you are? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, because they moved the border between Northern Ireland and Great Britain to the middle of the Irish Sea for the EU purposes. So whenever the rest of Britain left the European Union, Northern Ireland stayed in.
Oh, wow. All right. Because I heard, like, we did a story on it too. I did a video on it that the EU voted for mass deportations of the Muslims. Tell me what you think of it. I've been waiting to hear this, 40, and you other two guys. I want to hear all three of you what you think of this. Will it be done? Is it started already?
It depends on what type of vote it was and what the legislation actually says. But the European Union is a really, really strange thing. They have like a civil service that creates all the documents, and all the MLAs do is either vote yes or no.
Right.
And they can't even debate them and get amendments put in. It's a very draconian system. I've heard that they voted for that. I haven't read what they actually voted on. And
I could tell you a little bit about it.
Yeah. Oh, please do.
Oh, yeah. Well, right now, it's been reported that Germany and Italy are already doing it. They're setting it up.
I was going to say that's what I heard. Germany and Italy.
Germany and Italy. Giorgia Meloni, you got to love her. She's all for nationalism. And Germany, they got to do it because they're overwhelmed, like London. They're just overwhelmed with them, and they don't want them there. And so what the legislation was, and you know what? When the vote happened, I watched it, and the woman gave the tally, and half the people in Parliament just jumped up and down cheering. Oh, look at this!
What was the vote like? 300 and some odd, almost 400 to 200, low 200s.
Thanks, son. Appreciate it, brother. Love you, pops. Love you too, son. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what was the vote? It was like 380 some to low 200s against.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. That I think that's what it was. It's 380. I think it was 380 to 220 or 240, something like that. Yeah. It was a solid victory, and people just like, and whistling. I mean, everything. They were very happy, and I think it's because the young people, like not the parliamentarians, they're shit. But I think they finally took notice, because I call it, in my video, I called it the beach ball effect. Okay. And this is how I think of it with tyranny. Okay. You take a beach ball and you try to push it underwater, right? What do you get? You get pressure that pushes back, right? Well, the government is pushing the beach ball underwater, and the pressure is the people. And after a while, no matter who you are, you get tired and you run out of energy, and you got to let the ball go, and it comes above the water and you win. Okay. And I think that's what happened here. I think what happened is the people there, I mean, you guys, we've talked to you guys about it, and I felt like horrified for what you're going through, that the people felt like, hey, no one is listening to us. Our culture's being destroyed. You have 200 no-go zones through Europe now, right? With these people, they don't want to assimilate. They want you to assimilate to them. They thought that they were going to pull the Islamic swarm and destroy your culture, destroy your country, take it over, right? And now I think the young people are like they see things like what Trump is doing with the MAGA people. That we're going to actually give a shit about our people now. That's what I mean, if you think about it, Trump's administration, all his people, the cabinet, they are people that are solidly America first. And Trump tells Europe, you got to be your country first. You have to be. It doesn't mean you don't like anybody else, but England should be England first. Ireland should be Ireland first. That's the way it should be. But your politicians, for some crazy reason, I think it was for money. All right, that's my belief, because I watched a documentary on it that Tucker put out. And I think that your young people, which you have a lot of these days, that they were just getting frustrated that not only was it bad, the economies and whatnot, but now they think that you, the taxpayers, owe these people a living. and they just got sick of it, right? And so what they did is they finally complained and said, enough is enough. We're going to throw your ass out. And so many of them in Parliament finally listened. Anglo, thank you, sir. Says Muslim mayor of New York, Muslim mayor of London, Rich. It's in plain sight. Now, is this true, guys? Anglo, too? Is it true that one of the last prime minister or whatever of Scotland was a Muslim? Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, holy shite. Yeah, no kidding. Was he okay, or was he like a typical?
No.
Oh,
yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah.
Oh, and he also had his own tartan.
Had his own what?
Tartan.
What's that?
Tartan.
Yeah. Do you know the way the Scottish clans have tartans, and they have those
Kilt material.
Yeah.
It's
Wow.
a pattern of
the pattern, right?
It's the pattern
Wow.
of the kilt material.
Yeah.
Okay.
But each clan has their own individual tartan.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, whenever I was growing up, the street gangs in the loyalist areas also had their own tartan. That's a slightly different thing.
Okay.
But this Pakka, First Minister of Preston of Scotland, made himself allured and commissioned his own personal tartan.
Wow.
Yeah, because he's just as Scottish as everybody else, apparently.
Oh yeah, I've got a video about that.
Yeah. Well, my grandfather on my mother's side was from Scotland, and my grandfather on her side was from Ireland, and they met here in the year 1900 when they both came over. That was the year they came over, and they gave me a crest. I have it around here somewhere. They gave me it was a card and it had the family crest on. I'm like, you guys had a crest? He's like, yeah, everybody had one. So I'm like, oh, okay.
You know, 42. You mentioned that story. If somebody was going to immigrate and come into Scotland and really wanted to assimilate, and that's the reason they got a tartan commission, I don't know. I think that would be, you know, to me, that would be okay. But I suspect that if this guy's Muslim, he really didn't want to assimilate. It was some sort of...
He was taking the piss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if he really said, okay, I'm a Scotsman, that's it.
You're not.
I just happen to have dark hair instead of like reddish blonde.
Well, if
And a penchant to behead you if you disagree with me.
If he wants to do that, he needs to move to the Highlands.
Yeah.
And he needs to live on a croft for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
And
then maybe
in the hardship with a claymore sword, fighting off anybody that comes near him. And then we'll maybe think that he might have earned it. And by the way, see anybody that wants to emigrate to Australia, I advise that they all be allowed to land at Arnhem Land, and if they can make it past the saltwater crocodiles, the spiders, all the creatures there for a couple of 100 miles in that swamp thing, we'll call them Australian. But I don't think anyone's making it.
Wow.
There you go, Rich. I've queued up that video. It's a funny one. You'll enjoy it. It's a song.
Yeah. I got to scroll down. There it is. All right, cool.
It's Peach.
Let's bring it up.
Humza hates Peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates Peach. At the party conference, Wee Nippy at the helm, Blackfoot stuck in Westminster, the rest in lockdown hell. They had a buffet lunch with all those lovely things, but just before the salad bar, they heard poor Humza scream. Oh, Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates Peach.
That's hilarious.
You shouldn't even be here. They heard old Humza shout. You're just a furry nectarine. I think I'll throw you out. You come here in your millions. I wish you were the last. You're not allowed to stay, cause we were never asked. Oh, Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates Peach. You say I don't belong here, you nasty offy man. Most folks say that they like me, I know you're not a fan. Yes, I am a foreign fruit, that much is very true. But by your double standards, I'm just as such as you. Oh, Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. Humza hates Peach. He doesn't mind a fig or two, but Humza hates Peach.
Very well done.
I do not sound like groundskeeper Willie, right? I mean white. No, right. Oh, to hell with the lawyers. White.
I love it. I love it, man. Thank you. Very good.
Well, yeah,
That was it, because
that would
he-
be the other
What's up,
thing.
Billy?
If he was able to talk like groundskeeper Willie, would that make him more of a Scotsman?
Yeah, really.
he actually does sound a bit like groundskeeper.
Did he make himself a laird?
Yeah.
He got a bonny wife. Yeah.
But the reason for that was, I mean, this was during the lockdowns period where, because I mean, at the time it was Nicola Sturgeon was the first Minister of Scotland, and Humza was like sort of the deputy. And he had many different roles, and he failed at every single one of them.
Wow.
And obviously because he was a complete and utter failure, he became, it was just. But I think he became like the Law Minister for Scotland or something like that. And his first priority was to clamp down on free speech. So obviously Humza hates speech. So that's how that's.
Yeah, I love how they do it. Oh, it's hate speech. So what? Over here, we're like, that's the kind of speech that you have the First Amendment for. Speech you don't like. Now, you if you threaten someone, you know what? I don't even think threats would violate the First. I guess it depends. I guess it depends on what the threat is.
Yeah,
Because it's words.
yeah. There's what's the word? Fighting words. Fighting words. If you actually issue fighting words, that's a problem. And incitement to violence. That's that's against the law.
Yeah, but that's not judged as free speech thing. That's if you start to tell someone that you're going to physically damage them, that's actually assault at that point. So that's covered by a totally different law.
Yeah, it's classed as assault. So that in the UK would be classed as assault. But another thing, and I don't know if yourself and Dr. Jade are aware of this, but currently the Labour administration, headed by one David Lammy, who is the most useless politician of all time, well, probably second most useless after Diane Aberpotamus, and they're trying to push through trials without jury. So basically the judge would just sort of make the decision. And unlike, and unfortunately the judiciary and all of the civil service is just completely batshit lefty, watermelons, sort of communists, green on the outside, communist on the inside.
Yeah, that's my favorite phrase.
And just as a compare and contrast, a chap was recently let out of prison, a chap called Sam Melia, and his crime, which actually the judge said wasn't actually a crime or illegal, was that he produced some stickers that said it's okay to be white on them, and he was sent to prison for 3 years. I think he got out slightly early for good behavior or whatever it is, the period of time. and then he was on probation for another period. Well, now it's all gone past. He's just published his own book, but in that same on the same sort of period of time, the same judge gave a kiddie diddler, we call them. I don't know what you call them over there, but basically, they're like pizza and ping pong, if you know what I mean. The same judge on the same day gave a known diddler 2 years on 2 years on remand, which is basically you're still allowed to be out, but if you break any other laws, you'll definitely go to prison. So you have one man who produced a perfectly legal sticker called just saying it's okay to be white, because there was all that thing with saying it's okay to be black, and he just basically did, well, it's okay to be white then. Oh, that's sacrilege, you can't say that. Ooh. You know what I mean? It's like, the world collapsed. So he got sent down because basically the judge says, I don't like your thinking, so off to chalky for you, sunshine.
Wow.
And yet the diddler, the judge basically said, well, don't do it again. I'm putting you on 2 years remand. You step out of line again, you'll definitely go to prison this time. And I'm thinking, if we live in a world where, felons of that nature are allowed to just literally walk free, while somebody who, has made it's what we would call a piss take. It was basically a reaction to all of the sort of the Black Lives Matter crap that we were force-fed for a few years, particularly in the middle of lockdowns, where they were allowed to go out and mostly peacefully riot when the rest of us had to be locked down. And obviously it was, that was the reverse of that. So the judge said, no, you're Mr. Ultra Evil, but other guy, you can go free. It's not a society I want to be part of. And as regards to getting rid of all of the immigrants, because people like to focus, particularly in the UK, well, the politician side of the UK, apart with the exception of one, like to focus particularly on the illegal immigration. And it's a tiny, tiny fraction of the overall immigration that comes into the UK legally, whether we want it or not. And that's the whole point. We were never asked, since Clement Attlee's administration that started in 1945, shortly after the war, because he beat Churchill in a general election. So since 1945 until the present day, the British public have always been anti-immigration, 100%. Yeah. And they've never ever been given a vote on it. It's been foisted upon us. And then with even the levels were relative, they weren't big, and they remained relatively consistent up until sort of halfway, for whatever reason, halfway through the John Major prime ministership in the UK. Right. Tony Blair then got the reins and literally said, we are going to rub the Tories' noses in mass immigration. And that's exactly what he did. But he hadn't counted on the fact that when the Labour administration, was ousted in 2010, so they had 13 years of basically rubbing the Tories' noses in mass immigration. When vague Dave Cameron took the helm, he was going to pick that ball up and run with it like mad. And then under Boris Johnson, the so-called, the far-right nasty Tory leader, Boris Johnson, and during the middle of the world's worst pandemic in the world ever since Spanish flu, we allowed in 863,000 people net. So basically, there was a lot more that came in, but obviously, you call it net because there were people who also emigrated. The people who emigrated were the Brits who couldn't stand being in a country that looked like, Mogadishu or
Somalia.
So yeah, exactly, yeah. So there you go.
That's crazy. Anglo, thank you, sir. Are you familiar with England Day, Rich? 42's greatest work. Play it if you can, please. No, I'm not familiar. England Day. Have you played that recently, 40?
Yeah, if you want, I can.
Yeah, bring it up. I'll play it.
I got brought up. Let's see.
And then I got a question for the guys.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I got a question for apparently Keir Starmer, well, no, not apparently, I saw the video. Keir Starmer came out and said, but his thing has always been that, of course, we have free speech, but there's things you can't say. So
That's crazy.
He's come out now apparently, and that there's a memo from the Home Office that says you can't do that anymore for plain free speech. The cops are not going to bother anybody, which to me is, all that stuff that we weren't doing. Well, we're not going to do it anymore.
Wow.
So
Well,
40 and Sensum and Pakka, I don't know what you think about
Well,
that.
they've just added laws, bringing in, making it illegal to be Islamophobic, which is a weird one.
Right.
yeah, that'll never work.
We got rid
But-
of any blasphemy laws in 2008, but now you can upset the Muslims.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys want, I can play. They say it's so crass to play your own video, but I could play my EU shocker mass deportations for Muslims approved.
I'll just do a very quick one though, just to
Go ahead. Go.
Dr. Jade's point. What they were called in this country were non-crime hate incidents.
Yep.
So if you were to post an off-color remark or comment that didn't suit the regime, if you were to post a comment on Twitter, or X as it's called now, that said, I don't recognize the country I live in anymore, it looks like a foreign city, not a city in England, or anything of that nature, you'd get a little knock on the door and the police would turn up and say, oh, we'd like to check your thinking, please. Literally, we'd like to check your thinking. And even though you've committed no crime whatsoever, they would report it as a non-crime hate incident. Now, that seems fairly innocuous, but they were recorded, and we have what's called the DBS check. So the disclosure barring service, we call it here, which is if you go for a job and the company that you're going to want to check your background to make sure you've not been a former criminal or anything of that nature, it actually flags in that particular thing. So you haven't actually committed any crime whatsoever, and it doesn't explicitly say, why you're on that list. It just says, oh yes, they're on the so basically it was a way of trying to intimidate people into not saying the mind, because effectively, if you say this, you'll never get another job again, basically. Well, this week, the House of Lords under Lord Toby Young, he started an organization called the Free Speech Union back in, I think, 2021 during the pandemic. And he's now become a peer in the House of Lords. And there was a bill passed last week, him and another guy who was a former Met commissioner who's now a Lord in the House of Lords, where all non-crime hate incidents will be, stricken off the list and will no longer be associated with any form of DBS check whatsoever, which is a massive win because, if they can't prevent you from saying truthful things because they are the truth, they will just devise a mechanism where if you say the truth, you will be punished. And that's exactly what it was. So I'll let you carry on, Rich, now, mate. Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to play 40s.
Can I just add something to that? That list that you get flagged onto for this non-crime hate incident thing, the other thing that's used for is vetting voluntary workers with children. So for example, whenever my son was playing for a football team at the under 13, under 14 level, because I went to the training every week with him anyway, I got to know the other coaches and they asked me would I help, so I became part of the coaching team. So I had to go through a check where they send away to the place and find out that everything's okay and that this person's all right to be working with these kids. Right. That test, that list will flag up on that check. So if you've made a tweet or a Facebook post that they don't like, no, that thing that you used to do working with those kids, that stops.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I have heard that if you keep doing it, you will go to jail, and that people have gone to jail.
Oh yeah. Well, the other interesting thing is
That's
it
crazy.
seems to be a lot more to do with who it is sees your post than the actual post itself.
Right. Did you offend a Muslim? You could go to prison.
Well, did you offend a political activist? Is where it's at.
See,
because the political activists have got the back channels to the police, to the members of parliament, to the councillors, to all of that stuff. And what they do is, as soon as it happens, they send it to all of them, and then they scream at the police to do something.
Mm.
Yeah, and you can't even express an opinion.
Yep.
You know, I'm not fond of so many immigrants in the country. Next thing you know, the cops are there. You say it again, they arrest you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the Bill Burr thing with the Asians in the restaurant. You guys ever see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very funny. Yeah. Very funny. Let me play. I'm going to play 40's video, and then I'll play mine to show you what I know about the EU doing that. Here we go. Oh, I've seen this. I love this.
Who are ye, in rags and rotten shoes, all dirty and bearded, blocking up the way?
We are English. We come from the edge of Europe,
beyond which lies only water,
ice and death.
This is the place we made our home.
Raised our cattle, planted the crops, evoked their gods from circles formed of stone, so those gods could witness us atone.
When Roman forces did invade, we fought as lions, refused to yield, and those we left out in the field, of the English, they were the seed.
Who adversity did propagate, an indomitable people who we would fight, toil and mock in equal measure, and find humour in our adversity, because that is our way. The battle-weary tribes besieged by Vikings,
banded as brothers with Angles, Jutes and Saxons. It took some years of consideration
to produce our culture of toleration. The creation of the English nation at Stamford Bridge we won the day, but William was quickly on his way.
1066, the commutation brought the cursed Norman invasion. A ruling class they would impose until calls for Magna Carta arose. And to all the kings the message was sent: you only rule us by consent.
So what of the English, I hear you ask? You know us as the working class, the ones whose toil, blood and sweat brought you the greatest empire yet. So you should learn at your mother's knee of revolutions that number 3.
That number 3.
1, 2, 3.
Agricultural, where mechanized planting and harvesting was married to selective breeding, we created a food surplus, the envy of the world. Industrial, where we conjured cities to house factories inhabited by a well-earned workforce to man the machines. This coupled to the ingenuity of English engineers who never found a problem without a solution. The third, the glorious one, that brought about civil and religious liberty, one rule for all, and the radical notion that a man should profit from his labours. But we are not greedy. We exported our language, our law, our sense of fair play. In our safe shipping lanes trade flows through never-ending day.
And when Britannia ruled the waves,
we used our power to free all slaves. We managed the world and allowed all others to travel in the social order we created with humour in adversity, because that is our way. Achievements we have too many to list. From this small kingdom God has kissed, we travelled the world from the highest mountain to Arctics, Kabatic, tundra and back again. The traces of our kindness are in our railway lines that transport the world to work, our compassion in the water systems that hydrates foreign soil.
We left everywhere better than we found it, because that is our way.
I could list another thing or two, like how we taught the world to queue, but I'll leave that for another occasion. It's time to have a celebration. Admire the wonders of our creation. To our ancestors, homage we must pay for doing things the English way. For we are the English, and this is our day.
rotten shoes, all dirty and bearded, blocking up the way.
We are the pilgrims, master. We shall go always that little bit further. It may be beyond that last blue mountain barred with snow, across that angry or glimmering sea. We are the English.
Every Englishman's house is his castle. So hoist your colours on the ramparts for England Day. Then down after St George's Day. We are English, and we'll be patriotic in an organised way.
I love it. Is that a prop? Yeah, you played this last Saturday. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Where was it that because of some complaints they declared the flag to be hate speech?
They haven't declared it to be hate speech, but there has been an injunction taken against people for putting up flags, and they've been told they're not allowed to put any more flags up on the lampposts.
Yeah, they said it was making people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, do you know what? See the people in that area?
Good.
They need to,
yeah.
What they need to do, they need to start a brass band and walk around the place every fucking week with their brass band with a flag in front of it.
Hey, listen, if they can play the call to prayer from mosques in London.
Jade, it's much more important than this, because see if you allow people that hate you to live beside you, that's your vote being nullified. So what you need to do is put those flags up, form a brass band, walk around the area once a week, every week with a big flag until the people that don't like you fuck off and live somewhere else, and people like that can move in.
Right.
Amen, brother. Amen.
That's how you control your politicians. That's how you control your area. That's how you make sure that it stays the way it is.
Right. All right. I'm going to play my video, the EU shocker, the mass Muslim deportation video. This is what, now remember, other things may have come out since, but I did this last week, this video. So I'll just play it. Let me increase it. There we go.
Hey guys, it's me, Rich. We are watching a political earthquake unfold in real time, and most people have no idea how big this is. What just recently happened in Brussels could reshape Europe's future and send shockwaves straight to the United States. You're about to see how the same leaders who pushed for open borders for years suddenly reversed course and embraced mass deportations. And if you stick with me till the end, you'll find out that this wasn't just a sudden change of heart. It was pressure. And that pressure didn't come from the elites. It came from the people. However, the real story beneath this shift is even bigger. Let's get into it. All right, guys, welcome back to RPW Media. That's where we break down the stories the mainstream media either ignores or completely gets wrong. So,
such a ham.
Something remarkable just unfolded in Brussels, the capital of the EU. Inside the European Parliament, the same institution that spent decades preaching open borders, something flipped, and not quietly. This wasn't supposed to happen, not here and not from them. Just days ago, that same body voted to move forward with large-scale deportations all across Europe. Now think about that. This is the same parliament that spent years branding nationalist leaders as dangerous. Remember that? The same one that dismissed concerns about migration as prejudice. You're a bigot if you question it. The same one that pressured countries like Hungary and Poland for daring to protect their own borders, even though everybody knows they went through, 80 years of communism? They don't want any problems with outsiders anymore. And now, they just adopted the exact policies they condemned. Now, let's take a moment and watch this. At the end, you're going to see some real joy. This wasn't just a standard political move. No, this was members of parliament actually doing something for their constituents. Give it a watch.
A common system for the return of third country nationals staying illegally in the Union. This is the return regulation. We will vote on the decision to enter interinstitutional negotiations. By roll call, the vote is open.
Now I'm going to skip it.
Yeah, show the numbers though.
Yeah.
Vote is closed.
Here's the score.
And it is adopted.
Listen to that.
So the
Look at that.
okay,
These people
okay,
are
okay,
happy.
okay.
We're happy,
Many
guys.
votes to go through, guys.
Many votes to go through, guys.
Let's.
Yeah, they're not letting it talk. They're happy. Now, here's the real question. What changed? Because institutions like this don't just wake up one morning and reverse course unless something forces them to. On March 26, lawmakers approved what is called the Returns Regulation. And this isn't some minor tweak to their law. This was a sweeping legal framework designed to speed up deportations across the European Union. Could somebody have them schedule a meeting with our Democratic Party, please? The vote, it was 389 to 206. That's a whomping. It's not close. It's a landslide. And it came from a coalition of right-leaning and center-right groups across 27 member states. That's right. The globalists are done. The MAGA type people, the nationalists, they're taking over. It's a good thing. It'll save Europe. Now, to understand why this matters so much, you have to look at what came before. For years, deportation orders in the EU were basically nothing but minor suggestions. Migrants were told to leave, and many just didn't. Officials admitted only about 20% actually complied with the law. Can you imagine? The rest just stayed. Appeals dragged on forever, just like in the United States. Enforcement was weak by design. And over time, pressure started building, a lot of it.
Here's the beach balls.
Now let's talk about what really drove this shift. Certainly, the people across the European countries never wanted millions of illegal migrants entering from Muslim majority nations. They spoke out. They protested. They made their concerns very clear. And for years, their governments ignored them flat out. Which brings us to what I call the beach ball effect. Try holding a beach ball underwater. You can do it for a while, but you feel the pressure immediately. It wants to rise, right? The harder you push down, the more force pushes back. That's exactly what happened here. The government was the hand forcing the ball down. The people were the water pushing back. And eventually, the pressure wins. Always does. Just hold out. Keep fighting. Because you can't hold that ball underwater forever. You run out of energy over time. And that's what we're watching play out right now all across Europe. The people kept pushing. They kept speaking. They kept demanding change. And eventually, even the most entrenched institutions had no choice but to respond. Now look at what's being implemented. The new framework tightens return procedures. If someone is ordered to leave, they are expected to cooperate and leave. Enforcement gets real under this. Detention can now last up to 24 months in certain cases. That loophole where people just disappeared into the system, that's closing. That's exactly what Barack Obama did when he ordered the immigration judges to not give out bench warrants when the illegals didn't come for their deportation hearings, giving them a de facto amnesty, if you will. And Biden, he didn't even care where they were. So in Europe, I mean, think about it. Think about this. Motherfucker. They're even creating what they call return hubs outside of EU. It's kind of like Remain in Mexico. Facilities in other countries where rejected asylum seekers can be processed and held. Trump, anyone? Germany, the Netherlands, and Italy are already working on it. And if someone is considered a security threat, permanent bans, no coming back. And this isn't theoretical, guys. This is real. It's not an academic exercise. It's happening. Germany is already planning to send back hundreds of thousands of Syrian refugees. Not fringe politicians. Mainstream leadership is on this. At the same time, policies that used to spark outrage are becoming normalized. Restrictions on face coverings, stricter border enforcement, cultural integration demands. And of course, the activist class is furious. They're having a tizzy. They say it weakens humanitarian protections. Really? What about your women and your daughters being raped? Does that weaken humanitarian protections? Why don't you ever care about them? Supporters say it reflects reality. And here's the truth. This is what happens when voters are ignored long enough. Eventually, they stop whispering and they start shouting. And then eventually, again, even the most powerful institutions, they have to listen. Now, if you're sitting in the United States thinking, this is just a European story, think again. The same debates are happening here. Borders, identity, sovereignty, the SAVE Act, institutional power. This isn't abstract anymore. It's real and it's happening right now. And Europe just showed something very important. No political system is permanent. No institution is untouchable. And when pressure builds long enough, change is inevitable. So tell me what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
We're going to stop that.
Oh,
so that's what I know.
This is potentially very big.
Mm-hmm.
However, how big it becomes depends on the individual people.
Yes.
I'll tell you why. Here's a
Like I said, you got to keep fighting. Don't stop.
Oh, yeah. The problem I think that our side has always had is you think you get this one thing done and that's going to solve everything. But it's not. Now, here's a really interesting thing. While England, Scotland, and Wales left the European Union, their councils keep on enacting new legislation from the European Union. For example, there was a breakfast directive came out a while ago, and they changed all the councils in England, for no reason whatsoever other than they wanted to, decided they would enact that legislation, and it changed things about whether or not you're allowed to have a plastic fork whenever you go to the chip shop. For Americans, that would be fries, whereas if you go for a takeaway food, whether or not you can have a single-use plastic fork, and they all had to be changed to wood. It changed what the food's allowed to be packaged in. And all of the English councils enacted this because it would keep us more in line with Europe. So everybody that lives in a council that has did that with any other European directive now needs to write to that council with that legislation that has just been passed and say, here's another act that was passed by the European Union. Will you please enforce that to the same level that you did all the other ones?
Yeah.
And put some fucking pressure on them and keep it on.
Exactly. I mean, it's one thing when you vote the people you want to represent you. That's like, we don't live in a democracy, but we have democratic processes, and that's the fundamental basic thing of a democracy, a republic, if you will, even, is you get the right to vote for who you want to represent you. But then when you get people in that don't listen to you.
Well, the way that this happens is if the politician gets disconnected from the constituent community.
Right.
Because
usually money.
Well, yes, but here's the thing. See if the politician is tied to your community, has to come back for events, has to turn up with the constituents, has no real option other than to do that. Their parents live in that community. Their brothers, sisters live in that community. There's no way you can buy that.
Right.
Because that person's life's fucked if they don't do what they're supposed to do.
Right.
But somehow we manage to keep electing people that don't come from our communities, and that's where the problem is.
Unreal. That's where the money must be focused from by the globalists. Hold on a sec.
Yeah.
Anglo says Sensum has his curries flown in from Islamabad. Thank you, Anglo. Thank you again.
I make my own. I've got all of the recipes. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah,
That's
Rich,
fun. Yeah.
Did you hear the news from Northern Ireland this week?
No, what happened?
We've had 2 controlled explosions this week.
Really?
Do you know what a controlled explosion is?
Yeah. I've
Demolition.
seen buildings that had them. Yeah.
Yeah, demolition.
No. Well, in Northern Ireland, it's a little bit different because during the week in Lurgan, some people ordered a pizza delivery, and whenever the pizza driver arrived, they put a gun in his face and they said, "Open your back door." They put a bomb in the back of his car and said, "Drive that to the police station." Took his driving license off him, checked who he was, and went, "Right, if you don't do exactly that, we're coming to find you." So he drove the bomb to the police station, and at that point he got out and run off and told the police that's a bomb, by the way. And the bomb squad came out, and what they have done, I believe, is blow the detonator off it. Interestingly, whenever the way the bomb works, it's connected to the detonator. The bomb won't detonate unless the detonator tells it to. And if you can blow that up, then the bomb itself won't go. So, although the pizza driver's car, it's not doing too well at all.
Yeah.
It's fucked. And then I think that was Thursday, or no, I think that was Wednesday. And today we had a controlled explosion on a device that was found in Belfast.
Wow.
Yeah, because the Irish people are trying to blow people up because it's Easter, probably. But it didn't seem to get any news coverage.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I actually have 3 points, Rich, with regards to that that video about the European Union.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I noticed one of the comments in here was like, I'm often thought of as being a Debbie Downer. Well, I don't want to be a downer, but I will always say, judge them on what they do and not on what they say, because in the UK, from 2010 to now, every administration, including the current Labour one, has told the British public, "Oh, we're going to reduce immigration." It's just increased more and more.
Right.
And the other thing is it could be, well, in this country, when we've wanted to deport some of the most heinous, known terrorists, for instance, for people like Abu Hamza, Captain Hook, as we used to call him, because he had 2 hooks for hands.
Right.
And how did he have, and a shot eye as well? He had a shot eye, like a milky eye, and 2 hooks for hands. And the reason for that was because obviously he was a bomb maker, wasn't he? So, the thing that worries me is we've got in the European Union, and we are still part of this, which we should disband immediately, if not sooner, and also get rid of the UK Supreme Court, because we didn't have one until Tony Blair got in power. But we are still under what's called the European, the ECHR, European Community Human Rights Law, and they will block any kind of any kind of extradition or deportation of people. So these people will turn up and they'll say, "Oh, you can't deport me because if they send me back to whichever place I'm from,
they do that
my
here.
life's going to be in danger."
Right.
And what happens is these people, somebody knocks on the door, you need to be deported, and then some Quango from George Soros's Open Border Society goes around and says, "Oh, just tell them that your life's in danger, and that it would be against the European Union, whatever, the European Commission of Human Rights, or whatever it's called,
whatever it is." Yeah.
So they get right to leave, and if we wanted to actually be able to do that, all we need to do, and this is what Farage is promising, but Farage is another, sheep in wolf's clothing. He's going to allegedly get us out of the ECHR. Rupert Lowe said he will do, and I actually genuinely believe that he will. So you've got to think on, if it's anything like what the Tories have done to this country since, Thatcher got ousted, basically, because the John Major period, he was no better than Tony Blair, basically. But all the Tories ever do is promise the electorate what they want to hear, but then never actually do anything on it.
That's like our Democrats.
Oh, I can.
Yeah, but that's. Well, all I'll say is this: it's a bit of kayfabe for the European citizens at large. So they've got this big show and clapping and applauding, so that the mainstream of the normal public in those countries think, "Oh, great, they're going to do something about it. Right, we can just continue voting for the same shit again." It's a little bit of kayfabe, which is what happened to this country for the last, since Thatcher went, especially the Tory party, where, just before an election, somebody will come out and we're going to get rid of, we're going to send a load of people back, and we're going to stop mass immigration and stuff like that. And all of the Tory loyal, the Tory boys, as we call them, they all bought it again, and they keep on buying it again, keep on buying it again, and keep on buying it again. And it never, ever comes to anything. So, like I say, it's just, for me, it's a bit of kayfabe to the wider European community to keep their people in check, to fool them into thinking they're going to do anything different, when the reality is they have no intention of doing anything any different. And the final point I'll make is Giorgia Meloni is a WF puppet, and she's not our guy either. She's effectively another Farage. She talks big, says big things. Judge her by what she does, not on what she says. That's all I'll say.
I'll tell you what, I've said that for the longest time, that to Americans around every election, I put a video out saying, look, the members of Congress, they hate your guts, including Republicans. None of them like you because they're supposed to listen to you. And I say, don't get caught up in personalities. Like, oh, yeah, I love that guy. He wears a cowboy hat. Fuck that. You're supposed to say, show me the receipts. What have you done? What have you actually gotten done on the books, and they're implementing it now? Otherwise, I don't want to hear from you. I'm not going to love personality. Now, I love Trump, yeah, but if Trump did something wrong, I would jump on it. I would say, well, I don't know about. Well, yeah, I would jump on it, sure. But Trump just so far has not really done that much that I disagree with. Go ahead, 40.
Right. There can be a case where your elected representative hasn't actually managed to get what you wanted because he couldn't convince the whole House or enough people. But he does need to at least put his heart and soul and the effort to it. Let me see the argument. Let me see where you stood up in the House and said, this is what we need for our people. My constituents are having X problem, and I want Y done about it. And if he doesn't get what he wants, he doesn't get what he wants, or if she doesn't get what she wants, she doesn't get what she wants, but at least she's had a bloody go. And that's a big part of the problem.
Mm-hmm. See, what our Democrats do is they come up with things. They come up with like, they don't do anything what their people asked them to do and what they said they would do for the 2 years of their term, or 6 years in the Senate, except for the last 4 months of that term. That's when they come out and say, well, we tried to do things. You did? Where? But we tried to do things. It's those evil Republicans, those racist bastards over there on the right. They're the ones that stopped us, right? This is what they do. And when they do put something up to vote on, there's always a poison pill in there for them. And if you go back, I once did a study on this. If from I would say 1980 forward, if you look at every single bill that the Democrats have put out, every one of them, I don't give a shit what it is, every one of them, there was something in the language that made them more powerful, that took more rights away from Americans and made them more powerful. Not the government more powerful, their party more powerful.
Yeah,
that's what we're dealing with.
They're devious sons of bitches. That's why.
Yeah, that's what they are. And you
Here's
guys,
what-
I'm sure you guys, the thing, Sensum, the thing that like kind of blew me away was the way you spoke about Farage. I always liked him. I thought he was okay. I didn't know he was a do-nothing politician.
No, the worst thing about Nigel Farage isn't the fact that when he gets to, well, the first thing that Nigel Farage did, and he's quite proud of this fact, was that he made it his mission to prevent any form of, you know, nationalist or right-wing, proper nationalist or right-wing party proceed. Because we used to have a party called the British
Why would he do
National
that?
Party. Because it's part of the system, that's why.
Wow, I didn't know that. Thank you.
Okay,
he said by creating UKIP, which was milquetoast nationalism, he took all of the wind and fire and effectively destroyed the British National Party, which was gaining, you know, quite strong momentum because the writing was already on the wall with regards to what was happening with immigration under the likes of Tony Blair. So Nigel Farage literally became the valve on the pressure cooker. Yeah.
Wow.
So he was just enough saying just the right things. Plus also, Nigel Farage in 3 separate occasions had the ability to completely and utterly destroy the Conservative Party. 3 times he had that ability. And 3 times he either pulled out and went and did his own thing, or basically said, right, well, we're not going to contest these seats where the Tories are, because if we split the vote, then Labour will win. But the thing is, had he done that, and had he had actually, because I mean, the Tory party has been decimated, but if he'd have decimated it then, so we would have had what we've got now, which is a Labour party with a massive majority. If he'd have done it then, it would have destroyed the Tory party once and for all, except it would have been 10 years earlier. So he wouldn't have had to go through, you know, the post-vague Dave Cameron wave, then the Theresa May wave, then all of the nonsense that, you know, even the members voted in Liz Truss. So the regime, because she wasn't a regime person, they did everything in their power to besmirch her character and get her thrown out. I mean, she wasn't great anyway because she was a Tory, but they did everything in her power. So she literally was prime minister for less than 2 months, so that they could put in their chosen one, which was Goldman Sachs's very own Rishi Sunak. And then, you know, we had the Theresa May, then the Boris wave, which was a tragedy in its own making, then the Theresa May, then the Rishi Sunak era, and then obviously now we've got Keir Starmer. All of that crap post Cameron, and even probably before Cameron, if Farage had wanted to do it, that could have been nipped in the bud by completely and utterly decimating the Tory party at the time. And Farage was purporting himself, you know, UKIP would be the nationalist, you know, UKIP, we got you the vote to leave the EU, the Brexit vote. And what it became was this thing called Brino, which was Brexit in name only, because absolutely, first of all, when Cameron lost that vote in 2015, what he should have done, because he was a coward, obviously, but instead of him resigning because he lost something, what he should have done was have said, he actually could have, even though he's vague Dave Cameron, he could have actually, you know, redeemed himself, because what he should have done, which, you know, if it was me, I would have said, right, because there was all this nonsense about trade and tariffs and crap like that, yeah, which is pretty much the same as what Donald Trump has done recently with these other countries. Like, you lot are taking the piss, so we're going to put tariffs on you, basically. What Dave Cameron should have done was have said, right, well, I'm enacting Article whatever it was called, which basically meant the clock starts now, and in a year's time we are leaving the EU. I'm going to offer all of my European Union partners a tariff-free trade deals right now, and I suggest you get in early because you sell us far more shit to our country than we sell to you. So it's a non-brainer for you guys.
Right.
Should have done that there and then. Instead, what we got was 5 years of legislation and watering it down and watering it down and watering it down. So it basically became, well, you can have all of you get to keep all of the shit things that were in being part of the European Union, right? But you get none of the good things. And the only thing that was ever good in the European Union was that even though we paid in billions and billions of pounds for no good reason, we got a rebate. So, that was literally it. You got all. It's like, let's make the worst deal possible. And then when all of these politicians, Tory and Labour, because don't forget, the vast majority of Tories were all on board in staying in the European Union as well. So they're all traitors, basically. What they should have, like I say, what they did to this country was basically bend over and say to the European Union, right, do your worst, do whatever you want, because we want to, because they voted against what we wanted to vote for, let's shaft the British people. And the upshot of that was that in December of 2020, 2 months before 3 months before the COVID shit struck, it ended up being, Boris Johnson's shrewd move was, we can't have a hard border in Ireland anymore. Why? Why not? Well, because that looks bad. So what we'll do is we'll just separate northern.
We never did have a hard border.
No, but like I say, that's what if that's what the European Union was saying.
Yeah.
If you want to be, out of the European Union, then you've got to put a hard border on Ireland because that's where the European Union ends. And the big booyah was, there can't be a hard border between, Southern Ireland and Northern Ireland because, it's just so bad, politically so bad. So what did Boris do? Threw Northern Ireland
tell you
under
what
the
happened.
bus.
The Provisional Irish Republican Army said that any border infrastructure whatsoever would be blown the fuck up. And that's why they decided to keep us in the European Union.
Yeah,
Wow.
so they put the border,
Yep.
which is stupid, right up the middle of the Irish Sea.
Yep.
So cutting off some of the most loyal and staunch loyal people of our nation, the Northern Irish, cut off from the rest of them. It's fucking ridiculous.
Whenever I go on Amazon, there's a hell of a lot of stuff that's not available in my country. Because
the thing is, mate, you'll have to get your butt plugs from somewhere else, mate, unfortunately.
Oh, that's priceless.
Yeah.
Try Timo.
It probably won't work.
And for anybody who thinks the Conservative Party are ever going to protect anybody's way of life or anything at all, be advised, the Conservative Party cannot even protect their own name because the Tory Party ceased to exist in 1834. Any member of the Tory Party is now 190 years old. That's when they last took membership. However, the people on the left decided to call the Conservative Party the Tories as a slur. And in those almost 200 years, I've never heard a Conservative fucking push back on it.
Oh, wow.
So, it's why they're still called the Tories, because they've never fucking complained about it. Mm-hmm. They would rather take that every day than try to do something about it. And if that's your mentality about your fucking party name, what's it going to be like about protecting people that you don't really care about?
What's up, Steve? Good to see you, man. I'm sorry, 40. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you can't protect your own party and your own party name, how the hell are you supposed to protect the people?
Right. I'm so sick of disingenuous politicians, and I know that.
Yep.
I know that's like normal, right? But in our country, they're getting so bad on the left and the rhinos. Well, the rhinos aren't getting worse. They're just bad. But the Democrats are getting worse because, I mean, they just got even worse polling news. And they're according to history, they're supposed to take the midterms, gain 50 seats in the House, and probably take the Senate. I don't think it's going to happen. Their polling is plummeting.
Yeah, they'll probably take the House, but they're not going to take the Senate.
I don't know if they will take the House. They're plummeting.
Yeah. What you guys were talking about made me think of something. I have to ask you. Are you guys familiar with Charlie Brown from the cartoon strip Peanuts?
Snoopy?
Yes, very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
So, okay, American football starts in the fall. And every year there's a recurring theme in Peanuts. Well, when it was on.
Is that the Lucy putting the ball down?
Exactly. Lucy goes and she says, "Oh, come on, Charlie Brown, come kick the ball." And he says, No. Last year you pulled it out and I kicked and I hurt myself. Oh, well, I'm not going to do that this year. I promise.
That's your politicians.
And she goes over and she holds the ball. And of course, he runs up. She pulls the ball. He flies in the air. And that kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, you do the same thing over and over, and you trust without verifying.
She says all these good words. And here's my problem, at least with, I think it's politics all over the West. But I look at the politics here and people say things, then they get in and do the weirdest crap, nothing about what they say. And then when they come up for re-election, people vote for them anyway.
Yeah.
What happened to Pakka?
No idea.
Yeah, he left. I hope he didn't try to come back in, and I didn't see him because 40 with StreamYard. If you have too many people on, you have to scroll down, and I'm not used to that. So he might have been sitting there like waiting, and I missed him. Oh,
can anyone send him a text or an email?
Yeah, that would suck. He might have wanted to leave. I don't know.
Yeah, somebody should. I don't have any contact info. Somebody should send him a text or an email.
Yeah,
right.
You guys have his computer, his info.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I've just sent him a message in Telegram.
Yeah, he might be there. One of the things about
Peggy,
Charlie
good
Brown,
to see you.
I used to like Peppermint Patty. I thought she was great. Hey, Chuck.
Yeah.
I thought what was the name of Biden's press secretary? Peppermint. She was Peppermint Patty. Wasn't she?
Yeah.
Jen
Psaki.
Yeah, Jen Psaki.
Jen
That's it,
Psaki. Yeah.
I from the Charlie Brown series, there was a piece of music that was in there. I think it's actually called Linus and Lucy. It's a piano piece.
I
absolutely love that piece of music.
Oh, okay,
you
cool.
know the one I mean, don't you? The
yeah, it was Linus that would play it, right?
Linus and Lucy,
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, I used to love to listen to that when I was a kid.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, it was really good. And the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. They tried to create a whole new thing. You know what's interesting about that cartoon is that a lot of the voices that were in it, they were just kids. Who was it? Schultz that wrote all that?
Charles Schultz.
Yeah. They were just children in his neighborhood. He ran down the street and said, "Hey, do you want to be in like a TV cartoon?" They're like, "Okay." So they would literally tell the kids what to say and they would say it, which is why sometimes when they were talking, it sounded like you could hear because remember technology back then, you could hear like the air in the room and then it'd go silent. Because they couldn't hold long conversations because they couldn't remember that long, so they would have them just say the words and then they'd write the cartoon around them saying it. But that I watched a documentary on that one time. I thought that was fascinating, and they actually made a cartoon out of it. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, we used
Red
to.
Baron Snoopy.
I know the Red Baron. That was great. Yeah. Oh man. So let me see. Do I have any? I got any funny shit? I do videos on the bottom of the screen now. Oh, I have the Swamp Hunter video. I was going to play that. You want to hear that? You know, Mark, who we bring in, he's our data expert from Georgia, who was the first one to actually prove that they cheated in 2020. Right. And he's now become a big deal because the FBI descended upon Fulton County, Georgia. And they called him in to their Atlanta office, the FBI, and they interviewed him. And they said, yeah, we understand you sent data to the president right after 2020. He said, yeah, can you send it to us? So something's going to happen. But he always went by the term swamp hunter. And right now, because he literally lived in Georgia and there were swamps there and he could go hunting there. And that's why they called him Swamp Hunter. But now it's kind of changed because the swamp is the DC swamp and he's hunting for the cheaters. I thought it was kind of cool. And I did a song. So let's take a break. I'll play this song for him. And let's see. There it is. I sent it to him and he's like, I have no words. I thought it was cool. There you go. It's just a little ditty that I put together.
Cypress Lane, Blackwater talking in a low mean dream. Mark's got a laptop, boots in the clay, digging through numbers like a graveyard day. Dead men voting, names don't fade. Ghosts in the system, made. He don't shout, sharp and still. Let's the data do the kill. Hey! Truth don't sink in the swamp tonight. Rises up slow, then it bites, it bites. You can run your game in the dead of dark, but you can't outrun Mark. Hey, numbers hum like a low. Tick, 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 and the damage done. You can fake the count, play your part, but you can't outrun Mark. Georgia heat and a screen that glows. Patterns twist where the river flows. County lines like a crooked grin. Every spike where the frog creeps in. He press a needle through cold and lies. Finds a ditch that they tried to hide. No suit, no tie, just grit and nerve. Watching truth hit a hard left curve. Hey, truth don't sink in the swamp tonight. Rises up slow, then it bites, it bites. You can run your game in the dead of dark, but you can't outrun Mark. Hey, numbers hum like a loaded gun. Tick, 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 and the damage done. You can fake the count, play your part, but you can't outrun Mark. Dragging it through the silence deep. Every secret they meant to keep. Lines don't lie when they start to bend. That's where the story begins again. Cold hard proof in the midnight file. Stack it up in the crooked pile. No more ghosts in the voting roll. He's got receipts for every soul. Hey, truth don't sink in the swamp tonight. Claws its way back into the light. You can bury it deep in the dark, but you can't outrun Mark. Hey, hear that buzz, it's the circus scream. Tearing holes in a rigged up dream. You can spin it fast, play it part, but you can't outrun Mark.
Yeah, he's become a big deal on X now as well, because there's all the election integrity guys that are like reaching out to him asking, how did you do what you did? Here's what he did. One of the things he did, that he found 6 different ways they cheated in Georgia in 2020. And the one he was able to prove, it's very hard to prove, but he proved this one. And here's how he did it. In Georgia, like in most states, If you move, well, you move out of the state, you're not allowed to vote. Well, he found out that there were thousands of them that did anyway. But if you move from, we live in counties here, and if you move from one county to another, you have to re-register to vote because you're voting for things specific to your county, like a sheriff, right? A school board, dog catcher, what, and, you know, and you even vote for your congressman if he's in your district, right, for your county and whatnot. So if you don't, according to Georgia law, if you don't re-register, you can't vote within 30 days of the election. You can't vote in either your old county or your new one. You're just not allowed. You lost that right. That's the law. Well, he found out there were about 300 and some thousand people that moved from one county to the other, and they voted. So what he did was he said, okay, in our country, you can buy the voter rolls. You can't see how they voted, but they will sell you their voter rolls, which is their name, address, and I don't even think they show party in Georgia. Most states do, but I don't think Georgia does. But he said that when he looks at the data, he can tell their voting pattern, right? So you can tell. But what he did was he purchased the list, and then he matched their addresses, name and address, up to our postal system, USPS, United States Postal System. And that told them, because most people, they won't register with the state, they'll forget, but they want to get their mail when they move, right? Most people want to get their right mail. And it's because you got bills and whatnot. So he found out that there were so many that said, yeah, we moved. All right. And they told the USPS that they moved. And then there were others that he ran the same voter roll against our Social Security system, because they'll tell you if they're dead. So the dead and people who moved out of the state, people that they never thought they would ever vote, right? And Democrats steal their identities. But what he did was something different. He matched it to the USPS, found out who moved, and then he matched it to see if people died. Okay, so he then kept pulling it over the months, a new list, and he found out that after the election, after 2020, it took about 9 months, but he had over 11,800 people that finally re-registered. Well, supposedly Joe Biden won by 11,870 something, right? So there were more people that voted illegally than the margin that Biden won by. Now, that doesn't mean that Trump won, although we know Trump won Georgia. There was no way he was going to lose Georgia. So it doesn't mean that, but there is a law in Georgia that a judge, if he was presented that evidence, that he could have held the election null and void, and they would have had to have another election. And they've done this before. Okay, with not like with midterms and stuff like that. They've done it. And usually on a re-election, the conservatives always do better than the liberals.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be probable. It just needs to be possible.
Right. And what happened is it takes a long time to gather that kind of evidence, but the politicians, for that reason, they make it so that you only have like 72 hours to present your evidence. So it took him about 9 months to get the evidence, because he had to rely on people changing their address with the state after they already told the post office they were going to move. Right. And then he had to filter out there are some people that had to temporarily change their address because they went away to school, you know, the other side of the state or another state, another country, right? They're not saying they don't live there. They're just saying, I have to temporarily move here because I'm doing that, right? And then you have military people that go to other states because they live at the base or they go overseas, right? So when he filtered all that out, he had more people that voted that shouldn't have than Biden's win. So I'm going to make a video out of that song. I just put his picture up there and all that, the cartoon, just for laughs. But I'm going to use that as the intro every time we interview him, because when he comes on, he has all new info that he gets, and fortunately, he gives me a lot of info before he's supposed to go out with it, because he knows he can trust me. I'm one of those writers that if I tell you I'm not going to post something, I won't. You know,
the other thing as well, because like I say in YouTube, because I mean, I'm not. It's amazing because the number of people who don't watch a lot of terrestrial TV or mainstream TV anymore, it's increasing. Every single time I speak to people, more and more people are saying to me, "Oh, I don't really bother with television very much. I either watch something streaming or I'll watch YouTube." And I've watched this. I watched him for years, Stephen Crowder, and he did several exposés where they would literally drive to places where people had voted, and it'd be like, there would be no house there. It was just an empty land.
Right.
Or the address was a car park.
Oh, yeah.
One of them was in the middle of a fucking freeway overpass.
Yeah, it was an overpass. Yeah, the address was an overpass.
I'll tell you a story that happened that I saw in Philadelphia. There were school buses that pulled up, and like 5 of them.
Yeah.
People all got off the school. They were packed to the brim. People got off the school buses, and in front of each school bus, there was somebody standing there with a stack of index cards, and they would hand each person an index card. And on that index card, that's who they were when they were going in to vote, because they didn't have voter ID. So you just had to say your name. They'd turn the page. So they thought, okay, sign here. And you'd sign it. They never checked the signature against anything. And so they'd all go in and they'd vote. We're talking like 1,000 people. They'd go in and vote. Then they'd come back out, get on the bus, and go to the next county. Same state, next county. The whole new set of index cards for that county. People that died or people that moved out of the state. In 4 years, you got a shitload of people from both of those categories, right? And they do this every single year. They call it the spigot system. Well, the whole mail-in ballot thing made that a hell of a lot easier, because they sent mail-in ballots out to over 1 million people who'd never even requested them. Yeah, let's see. Who's here that I missed? I bloviate so much, I don't see who comes in. Sorry, anybody I missed you didn't say hi. Like Jay, how you doing? Jay Belfast, 28. Good to see you. I haven't seen you before, but welcome.
I bumped into him at the fucking local shop.
You did what?
I bumped into Jay Belfast at the local shop.
Oh, cool.
He was standing in the queue, waiting to buy some stuff, and so was I, and was somehow figured out who we before.
For real?
Yeah, for real.
Oh, no kidding. How about that? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Welcome, dude. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Hey, what's up, Charlie? How you doing? Good to see you. Nice. So let's see. Let me close that out. I want to see if I have anything. Yeah, I want to play a couple funny things. Let's see. She may get deported. Lacrosse team. What else is there? How the fuck am I supposed? That's funny. Woman. Oh yeah, this here, man. This is like, this is what we deal with here. So this woman's talking about food stamps, right? Because Trump, with the Doge, and he was taking, they were shutting down. They say, well, the Democrats say, oh, Trump cut 10,000 people from the food. No, he cut the people that were here illegally, right? But this is ignorance at its best.
Trump needs to shut the hell up and sit down some fucking way, because when I get my food stamps, I buy food with my food stamps. I like to buy Pepsi because that's what I drink. Pepsi.
See, the reason why she's saying that is because RFK Jr. and several others in the administration said, okay, so when you're on food stamps, you're supposed to eat nutritious food like Whole Foods. We don't want to pay for sodas that are going to make you sick, because then we obviously got to pay for your health care as well, right? The taxpayers. And so there was talk going around that there were going to be certain things you couldn't buy. But listen to this woman, because she acts like it's her money and doesn't even acknowledge that it's given to her by people.
I buy 2-liter Pepsis every time I go to the market. And I like snacks. I like to snack. The kids like to snack. So who is you to tell us
who are you
we can't buy Pepsis and sodas with our stamps? We should be able to get
with our stamps. It's our money that's paying for it, and it has no gratitude whatsoever.
The hell we want to get with our food stamps. Now you want to cut everything and talking about we can just buy food. So we supposed to spend money to buy the sodas and the snacks, just to have sodas and Kool-Aid and snacks and juices and stuff in the house for the adults and the children. When will this take effect? Because I bet not get messed up for June.
What are you going to do?
Everything. I want to buy everything with my food stamps.
And that was not a joke, guys. That was real.
Yeah.
No gratitude. None to the American people for paying for your Pepsi and your snacks. Unbelievable. I don't get that. Like, how could you, like, they expect that money every month. They have no gratitude for it. They're not working for it. Now, I'm not saying everybody on assistance is a bum like that.
It's worse than that because she's not even fucking embarrassed.
I know that. Yeah, you're right. That's
Because,
what it is.
you know
That's what gets me.
See where I live. See anybody that's on the dole. Right, that's our unemployment benefit.
Yeah.
We'll try to hide it for as long as they fucking can.
Yeah.
You know, and if they've lost a job, they'll go, fuck, I've just lost a job. I need to get one. And that's what they'll be talking about. And anybody that sort of does get that bit of assistance between jobs or whatever, they're thankful for it.
Yeah.
You know, but those people, they're just like, yeah, fuck, this is just what comes with being alive.
I'll tell you what, in our country, they call them food stamps because they used to literally be a stamp book and you would tear it out and hand it over. You know what they do now? They give you a debit card that they replenish every month to take away the stigma. The reason they were stamps was because they wanted the stigma. They wanted you to get a job as fast as you could. I understand if somebody loses their job, it's not really their fault. The company went out of business. I get it. Okay, we're a very generous country, as everybody else that pays taxes is, but then to make it easier for them by showing an EBT card instead, like you just put it in like it's a credit card, and unless people are looking, they're not going to see EBT there, right? They're not going to know. But I mean, my God, why do they make it easy for people? There should be a stigma to it. There really should, because then more people wouldn't be on it. There's more the way, and the reason why I'm coming off like this, I just feel that there's more dignity in work. Instead of being on the dole. Now, granted, there are people that can't work. I get that, right? And that's why the West is the most generous culture around. But if you belong to the flat ass society, which is what I call it, and you sit at home all day and you don't want to work and you just think that everybody owes you a living, screw that.
Yeah, it's called being entitled.
Yeah, exactly. That's how they feel, entitled. Yeah, and I'm sorry. I'm just against that.
You owe it to them, you bigot.
Yeah, I know I'm a bigot. I owe it to them. And I hate when they go, oh, you just don't like black people. There's more white people in America on food stamps and welfare than there are. You know why? Because there's more white people in the United States, and so there's more white people. So don't give me that race bullshit. Jimmy from Philly is in the house. My comments won't stick. What do you mean? Nobody's cutting you.
Here, Rich. Here's something that really I just cannot get about America.
Right.
You've got places like New York, really fucking cold in the winter. Seattle, really fucking cold in the winter. You have homeless people in New York. You have homeless people in Seattle.
Right.
You have also got places like California that is warm all fucking year round.
Right.
How lazy do you have to be to not fucking be homeless to continue to be homeless in the cold part?
I know. How useless do you have to be?
Yeah, because see at that point, you're not staying there for a support system. You're not staying there because it's where your family are. You're not staying there for any other reason. Then you can't be fucking arse doing anything to improve yourself. And you could at least go to somewhere that's warm.
I'll tell you what, Donnie, the communist that now runs New York City, a few weeks back, what happens in New York with the homeless is when it hits a certain temperature, the police go out and they force them into shelters because they'll die. And Mom Donnie changed that rule because of the dignity of the homeless people. They should have enough dignity to be able to make up their own minds. Yeah, but they should have brains that are working to help them make up their own minds. But most of the homeless in New York are drug addicts, alcoholics, people that are mentally ill, people that should really be in shelters. And 50 people die from the cold because he made that rule, and the cops come out and gather them up.
If we'd solve the homeless problem in about 3 weeks, have you stopped doing that at all?
What's that?
You know, you see if you provide, see if you don't force them people to go into the shelters and whatnot. After a couple of weeks, you'll not have homeless people.
Right.
You know, it's one way of solving the problem. Probably not good for the people that are dead, but it will work.
Yeah.
In a very convoluted, fucked up way.
There's a channel called Soft White Underbelly. If you guys haven't heard of it, oh my God, check it out. It's a guy out in California, Southern California, and he finds people on the street in Skid Row, the famous Skid Row in California, right? Los Angeles. And he just brings them into a room, puts up a white sheet, they sit in front of it, and he interviews them. Things like hookers, drug addicts, former drug addicts, right? Yeah. Criminals, like you name it, they got it. And he asks them real quick, and it's just fantastic. And so one day he was walking down Skid Row, and he had a little mic in his hand, and his cameraman was filming him, and he had another guy with him that does something similar, and they were discussing it. And it was fascinating to me because he said, "Yeah, not anymore. They cleaned that up. Now I think they're at City Hall." But So what he pointed out was, he said, look, he said, I could go up to one, because he runs GoFundMe's to help certain people that want to get out of that lifestyle. He'll put them up somewhere, get them interviews for jobs, and he's got a lot of people out. But he says most of the people that are here, he said, you go up to them and go, look, I can get you a job. And the guy goes, wait a minute, I get to sleep as late as I want. Right. I don't have to be in work at an early time. I don't have to, wear a suit and tie and all that. And he's like, and down here, he goes, I get 3 squares a day because the liberals donate, like billionaires out there. They donate, like they bought a hotel and it was just for homeless people. It's not a shelter. It's a hotel and they could just stay in there. Right. But they got to clean their room when they leave or else they're not allowed back in. And apparently they do. But he said, look, they got rooms there. He goes, there's 3 places where they can get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He goes, they got showers right over there for them, and they can charge their cell phones. Now, if you're homeless, how do you have a cell phone? How are you paying? Because you panhandle. But then, and he pointed out, he says, why would they stop being homeless and become a regular person in society? So then he got into it, and he said, all of his years of doing this, he said, what I've learned and talked to professionals who watch the videos and all, and he said that forget the adults. He goes, they're a lost cause. Go for the children. Try to get them, the young ones. And he said it this way. He said, when you actually interview and study these people, he said, most, if not all, of the people on Skid Row here, he said, they're drug addicts. They're on drugs. Yeah. And he goes, and if you peel a layer away, you find out, like, why are they on drugs? Well, because they have a mental illness. Okay, so they're doing like hardcore drugs to cover up a mental illness, make them feel numb, whatever the reason is. And then he says, and if you peel a layer away again, why do they have the mental illness that makes them go on drugs on the street? And he said, because these are the people that when they were children, they were abused physically, sexually, whatever, by an adult that they were supposed to depend on.
That's about 70%.
Yes. Yes.
I can tell you exactly where the other 30% come from.
Yeah, please do, because I know you're into this, that you help people this way.
I spent 2 years going around Belfast city centre talking to homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
And asked them if they need assistance for getting housing and whatnot. Northern Ireland's a really strange place because all of our homeless people pretty much have somewhere to go to. They just don't want to go there for various reasons. But what I found is you have a hell of a lot of men who started off, went through life, got married, had jobs, done everything, paid a mortgage, had a car, had a house, and they got divorced or they separated from their partner. They got thrown out of their house. Were told they had to maintain the mortgage and the standard of living for the person they had left. A lot of these are victims of domestic abuse, male victims of domestic abuse. And funny thing, in the period between separation and divorce, that man's on the hook for all of the bills that he previously had.
Yep.
And his choices are go sofa surf for free somewhere or live in your car. And a lot of these men also have issues with family court, and that strips whatever other little bit of money they've got.
Right.
And they have lost everything through no fault of their own. And they have said, I'm not even going to attempt to build any of that back because it can be taken off me at a moment's notice, and I'm better off just sitting here in the street.
A lot of people fall like that. Yeah, it's a sad thing to watch.
It's absolutely disgusting. And what I had proposed to the Northern Ireland Executive was there be a means-tested benefit. Oh, this, by the way, only affects men that work. See, if you don't work, you're fine.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
But because you work, you have no entitlement to any benefit whatsoever.
Wow.
So, for example, for 18 months, I was earning, I think it was £1,200 a month, and I had £114 to live on because everything else went to the previous relationship and paying service and all of that. And I was fortunate in that I could live with my parents for free.
Wow.
Yeah, but the other part of that is you're a man the wrong side of 45 and you're fucking eating for free in your parents' house while working a full-time job. And then we get surprised that quite a large amount of these men decide to just check out from society. They don't want to work. They don't want to do anything. They'll just sit here and take whatever gets put in front of them.
Right. It's nuts, isn't it?
That's the other part of that. Yes, childhood violence, anywhere from sexual abuse through to just very overbearing parents where things didn't work out, or other childhood issues that just got out of hand. But and then those people end up, or people that were raised by the street as opposed to by their parents.
Yeah.
Is a very big indicator for that. Then they get onto the drugs. They start off it works for a while until it doesn't, and then the spiral down goes extremely fast.
Yeah. He the guy pointed out that he said if you go for the children that are at risk, and see, he, like me, doesn't like social workers too much in the United States because they after years of being on the job, they lose any empathy they have, and they're just doing their job. And you make mistakes when you do that. You make bad decisions.
That's before you factor in all of the ideology that's in the training of those social workers.
Yep.
Because you'll find that those groups they start off, they go through school, they go through university, they maybe do a degree in youth work or youth psychology or whatever that is to learn how all of this works, and then they go into the training for the job, and then They have fucking NGOs that come in and give them training, and all of that training has got the current DEI and all of those levers built into it, and the weights and measure and the victim totem pole, and it's really it's really sick that they allow these activist groups to go in and train the social workers before they go in to try to talk to these people on the streets and even the children, because it's taken away from everything that's learned previously.
Man. Crazy, man.
It's
sick.
It is. Another strange fact, none of the suicide prevention groups in Belfast want to speak to me anymore.
Really?
Yeah. Because I told them that the overwhelming cause of suicide is the lack of hope. And we need to provide these, mostly men, because 80% of all of those events are male, is we need to provide them with hope and a way forward. And you can do all of the mindfulness you want, but unless there's some of that in some bricks and mortar service, you're not going to get anywhere. And that was a bit too much truth for them.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think also that, I understand, I went through a system here too when I was divorced with kids, that a lot of like the support court, okay, child support, it was totally rigged in the favor.
It is 100% rigged.
Yeah, it is definitely rigged, and they can't say it isn't. And luckily, my ex Joshua's mother, she was very cool about it. She just wanted to go so that it would be normalized, take out of the paycheck, not worry about it. But she was cool, never took me back for more money. But then again, I paid her so much extra than I should have, because we came up to it with an amount. Like they will take that amount. If you come up with an amount, then they don't go through the whole state thing and all that. And I always paid her more than the state would have said, so she couldn't go, yeah, I need more money, because she didn't. But I learned that the system is, and this is what I wanted to ask you. Do you also believe, because I don't know how it is over there, I'm assuming it's the same, but over here,
you have heard of our system?
Well, hold on. Yeah, well, I heard it is, but over here, the reason a lot of the men are in trouble financially and whatnot is because there's no programs for them. We got a shit ton of redundant programs for women in this country. Like there's every possible thing that goes wrong in a woman's life, we've got a program for her that our tax dollars pay, but I don't know if really any for a guy. A guy gets divorced and gets screwed financially. Who's there to help him? The woman? Oh, she's got all kinds of benefits, and the court will go after you for money. But what about the other way around?
This will only scratch the tip of the surface, but let this sink in. 97% of all people denied access to their children by a court are male. 97%.
Yeah.
Do not come to that percentage without the system being rigged.
Right.
The other thing is, whenever a woman gets divorced or separated, as soon as there's children involved, she's classified as a single mother.
Right.
Now, that on itself brings a lot of assistance.
Yeah.
Now, whenever a man separates and has children, he's classed as a single man. Now, we have a benefit system and a support system that works on helping those most vulnerable first. So that will be children, single parent families.
Rightfully so.
Women, single men. As soon as the man divorces, he's into the category that is designed to have the least assistance because it's supposed to be the most capable of fending for itself. However, he is doing that while he has all of the responsibilities as a married man for the 18 months or whatever it takes to actually get a divorce and sell a house.
Right.
And the proposal I had put forward was there to be a means-tested benefit whereby the government look at your income, how much you earn, how much you're paying out, and can prove you're paying out, like a mortgage payment, like a car payment, like credit card repayments, like other like household insurance and all those bills, and give the man, for the period between separation and divorce, a benefit that would bring him to no less than 70% of his normal salary so that he can actually continue to live.
What, he gets 70%?
Yeah, well, the benefit would be, for example, right, I was earning, I think it was £1,200, and I got £100 thereabouts to myself because everything else was allocated to other bills and stuff. Wow. So that would be a benefit that would bring me up to about £700, so that I would actually have money for food, electric, petrol, those basics. Obviously it hasn't went anywhere, but that's what I was advocating for, because that would be. The other thing is, if you get divorced and you're not working and you're on benefits,
right?
You don't need to worry, because you're going to get housing benefit to pay for your house.
Oh yeah,
you're going to get some form of benefit to keep you from week to week. It's the people that actually work that get hurt, that get hit the hardest.
Yeah. Well, here we cover the kids. The father will cover the kids for health insurance and all that. And I think with my first, it was we had to pay 50% of unexpected bills that came in for medical, but I always paid 100% of it.
Yeah,
because I didn't get involved with that.
Well, ours is different that way because we've got the National Health Service. So we don't pay a point of service, but our free healthcare could save your life, but you queue until you're fucking dead.
Yeah. Well, see, the other thing that we had here that I didn't like, and it's a little pet peeve of mine, is that the mother. Well, I'm sorry. Let me fix that. I'm not picking on mothers. The person who has full custody, like the main custody, okay, the custodial parent, if you will. They get to use the child for a tax deduction, right? You have a child tax deduction on your taxes, and the paying for the visitation person, usually the father. Let's just say, okay, the father pays child support every week throughout the entire year. He doesn't get jack shit. He can't write that off on his taxes. He can't use his child for tax deduction either. And the woman, if the mother, she can do two things in the same fiscal year. She can take the money that she earned on support and use it for as income when going for something for credit. But in the same year, she doesn't have to report that money to the IRS to pay taxes on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's because their lobby is stronger than the guy's lobby.
Well,
it all comes down to who makes the laws.
Okay, so if you go back to the Industrial Revolution, and we begin to have a bunch of children with no clearly identified father, somebody needs to pay for the upkeep of those children. And that fell to the charitable sector, like the churches or some fraternal organizations or whatnot, and they put forward these pots of money. and the government were very, very unwilling to get involved with that because they were like, we don't want to be responsible for paying for the upkeep of all these children. And they needed a bunch of people to put on the hook for that, basically. And what they did was they decided that you'll have the same law in America. Regardless of biology, the person in a permanent relationship with the mother during the pregnancy shall be legally considered the father.
Yeah, they don't do that here.
Right. Oh, they do. Trust me. That's why there is no DNA involved in any of your child support system.
Oh, there is. DNA test? Oh, yeah, because the father will say he's not my kid.
Oh, yes, but it's not embedded into the start of the system.
Right. It's not, but you can request it. Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
if you go to court, you can request it at domestic relations.
So, legally, to all intents and purpose, whenever that child comes out of the woman's body, that child is a child of her partner. Right? Doesn't matter whether he is or isn't. And if that was not the case, we would be doing a DNA test in the hospital, but we are not, because we have no requirement to figure out who the legal father of that child is, other than the mother's word for it.
Right.
So that's
here. If you adopt a child, like you marry a woman that has a child and you adopt that child, now you are considered the father and you're on the hook financially, which is part of the course, right? You knew that going in.
Depending on the judge you get, if you have been an important figure in that child's life for 3 years, you'll be on the hook anyway. But the point I was getting at is there's no method of ascertaining the father of a child at birth. We don't do DNA tests because it's automatically assumed the person the mother says is the father, and he's going to pay for it. And that ran into the problem with the charities and whatnot, and the governments decided that we'll also have to go to Caroline Norton. We'll have those two things going on. Then a woman called Caroline Norton, who among other things she was known as a social beauty, a hostess, and among other things, she was sucking the Prime Minister of England's cock, and she had a child that she didn't have access to. She brought out a thing called the Tender Years Doctrine, which led to the infants. The Tender Years Doctrine. Right. This is too late for me. The Custody of Infants Act 1839, which decreed that the mother will have custody of the child during the tender years, and the father shall pay for all of its needs. Right, which is the basis of the family court that we have today. Then that was updated again, the Custody of Infants Act 1959, which the tender years were the years during which the child would be breastfeeding. Then we had issues with 6-year-old children being handed back to fathers that they hadn't really seen. That didn't work, so they decided that it was in the best interest of the child for the mother to keep custody until the age of 16 and the father to pay for it. That's the family court system you have today. That's where it came from, the 1839 Custody of Infants Act. Back whenever the time where apparently women had no rights whatsoever, they did indeed get the right to have a child, decide to keep that child, and that the father was never going to see it, and it was going to pay for all of the upkeep. It stemmed from there.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, I haven't really done men's rights stuff in a while. So for a minute or two there, I was a bit disjointed and not totally in my flow, but I think I got there at the end.
I didn't understand the last thing you said.
I said I think I got there in the end.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I get you now. All right. Yeah. Let me read. I'm gonna do something weird tonight. I'm gonna read a story. You guys familiar with MySpace? Remember MySpace?
God,
Yes.
that's old.
Did you know it was a psyop? Let's do the story. Let's do the story. It was a psyop, actually. Hang on. Let me bring it up. Share screen. MySpace. This is from Cypher News, which I like. Cypher-news.com. MySpace was a huge psyop, and we all fell for it. Remember
No, we
him?
didn't.
Tom lied. Remember?
Yep.
I didn't fall for it. I was never on some MySpace.
Okay. Well, we refers to people who were. I was on MySpace. As Jet here. People love to remember MySpace as this sweet little pre-corporate internet playground back when social media was supposedly fun, harmless, and still run by human beings. You had your cute profile song, your glitter graphics, and all that messy HTML. Your top 8 was the biggest drama of your day. And for a minute, it really did feel totally personal. But that memory is doing a lot of heavy lifting because underneath the goofy chaos was something much colder and much more deliberate. Let's get into it. The real story isn't that MySpace started as some pure, wonderful baby and then got corrupted by accident. Nope. The real story is that it was built inside an internet marketing company by people who saw exactly where social media was headed and wanted to cash in first. They saw users spending serious time on Friendster. Remember, that's what it was called first, and realized attention was becoming the new gold. So they built their own version of Friendster with a very specific end game in mind. Grow fast, hook people, and boom, flip on the ads and turn social media into a monetizable gold mine. You didn't realize it, but you were a MySpace lab rat. And that's what everybody missed when they get all nostalgic over Tom and his shenanigans. But truth be told, MySpace didn't just stumble into the ad-driven internet. See, I always thought it did, because it was very simple. There wasn't anything sophisticated about it. And it was supposed to be for rock bands. If you remember, that was the initial reason for it. It actually was the leading force that helped invent the model that we're all drowning in today. Yeah, because it seems like the social media companies got you so invested and, you had to go on. They offered you all these free things. That's why a lot of kids today think everything should be free, right? Because you don't have to pay for a lot of the sites that they go on, the social media sites, right? But then when they got us hooked on it, right, and people make business models out of it, which I did with Facebook, until they screwed me with a 98% censor rate, and so I can't use them as a model anymore because I only get like 2% of my people see my feed at any given time because I was conservative, and that's what they did, and it was nothing we could do about it, and we made them that way by falling for all their bullshit. MySpace figured out that if you gave people a place to perform online and customize their identity and build a little digital life, they'd pour endless hours into it, and once you had that much time and attention to lock down, the next move was so obvious. Sell crap to all the eyeballs. Exactly. The just like TV and radio without dollars, and you can't run it. Nobody works for free, and you can't do that without advertising. And that's what the whole thing was. So, and that's where the News Corps part comes in. A lot of these tech and media people love to talk about that Pat, like the corporate rot, showed up out of nowhere and rained on the people's parade. Oh, please. The lawyers, greed, bureaucracy, and content manipulation were not some tragic outside contamination. It was absolutely part of the long-term plan when MySpace was created. They always planned to turn social media into an ad bonanza and then sell the machine to a media giant. All of that was baked into the blueprint of MySpace. MySpace was a proof of concept, a giant living experiment showing corporate America that the internet could be turned into a non-stop commercial environment where identity, friendship, entertainment, news, and marketing all got smushed together in one sticky mess. And you think about it, all the guys that run these companies, multi-million, some billionaires, like look at Meta, Zuckerberg, like he just had to leave California because they're doing a 5% wealth tax. All right, so he took off and went to Florida just to save his money because it would have been billions of dollars he would have had to pay in that. And all of that self-expression of yours was market research for the pros. What you thought was freedom was actually a carefully crafted infrastructure. What seemed like a fun little profile page was the prototype for the algorithmic shopping mall the internet would eventually become. Like I said, MySpace wasn't some innocent digital hangout that got hijacked later. It was launched by ad people who saw online obsession as a business opportunity. They built the platform to capture all of that and then followed the plan. And then the mop-up job began. Suddenly, nobody wanted to mess with nostalgia, so the story turned into one big bad corporate creep slithering in and ruining all of our warm-hearted fun. I'm not going to read that. I think it's, yeah, that's done. But yeah, everybody thought of MySpace with this nostalgia that it was this really cool site that was free, and it was that was the first one of the social medias that became giant, and it was free, and you could do all these cool things with it. But the whole thing apparently was set up for them to figure out how to make tons of money off of you doing just that. And when you look at the other end of it, 40, you'd know this. When you look at the other end of it, you think, how many people did it completely fuck up their lives? How many children are fucked because Facebook targets them in certain ads and targets them with certain sections of their social media that they want them to get into because they know that in the future they're going to make money off of. They got caught on that, by the way, and they were taken to court. They just lost.
Tell you what, it's did the same level of damage as television has. Because you know something? Here's something that's really weird. Halloween in Northern Ireland is nothing like what it was whenever I was a child.
Yeah.
It is totally 100% changed. And you know why it changed? Because kids in Belfast got to see what kids in rich parts of America do at Halloween and decided they want to do that.
With the candy and all that?
Yeah, with the candy, because if you, whenever I was a kid, if you arrived at somebody's door and they tried to give you candy, what's this? Where's my money?
Yeah.
Right. It's totally different the way it's done. And this is 100% on an influence that came in from America with the televisions. I was watching a thing about Easter and the old Easter traditions. The Easter bunny is Germanic, and the Easter bunny would leave the presents in the German places. But then in France, they had a thing whereby there was these bells that grew wings and went off to Rome and came back with the treats. It was similar, but it was different. And we were able to have these different traditions in different places because nobody knew what the other people were doing. And now with television, we've got everything. We've got lots of stuff coming in from basically American TV.
And we stole all your TV, by the way.
Yeah, but it came back to us different. So our Halloween has totally changed.
Wow.
Over that, and that and then with what social media has been that on steroids, where everything's all just being pumped at kids. It's really not good.
Yeah.
And I think the only way to combat that is with a lot of events for kids to do in real life, in the street, and get them away from that. But that would need to be a movement that happens.
Oh, yeah.
That would need to be a movement that happens simultaneously in every neighborhood in the world, and that's not going to fucking happen.
I'll tell you what, when I was a little kid, on the 4th of July, every town had a parade that the kids participated in. And I'm talking to the point where you had my brother and I had our tricycles, and our parents, my father, he would take the red, white, and blue streamers and run them up the handlebars on both sides, along the body, down on the wheels, the spokes that come down on the wheels. And we would proudly ride that sumbitch in the parade, right? And all these kids, we had hundreds of kids that were just riding real slow, down the street. And the parents were holding flags and stuff. It was great. We don't do that anymore. Now the only time people get together is when they have a fucking No Kings rally in these small towns where they just scream at all the people driving by. How dare you have fun? How dare you be an American? So a lot of stuff has changed here too.
Well, that's
not good.
That's one thing I will say about Belfast. Our parades are still the same as were whenever I was a child. In fact, if anything, we've got better.
This is what I like about you guys over there. Okay, you guys have so many. What's the word I'm looking for? So many spots in time that meant something to you, and you celebrate it, you march on it, you parade it, and you reenact it.
Yeah,
and that's what we've lost here. I mean, there's still some towns, like a lot, I guess. It's a big place. There's still some towns here that they still do stuff like that, but not to the extent that you guys do, because your history means more to you than ours to us, because the commies in our country a long time ago tried to get us to not love our country anymore, and a lot of people fell for it.
If you want your children to love their country, you've got to get them doing stuff that is about their country.
Right.
And you've got to make it fun.
Yeah.
And you have to make it in such a way that whenever they grow up, they want to be doing that with their children.
And you have to fire school teachers who are teaching these little kids to hate their country.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do here.
But here's the other thing. That doesn't work so well whenever you've got a classroom full of kids that have just spent the weekend doing something that really celebrates their country. How are they doing on the Monday morning?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, whenever the children come home with something in their homework, and what's happened is, because the community's organized, they've got a homework club in the local church, and that homework goes into the church, and the church see it, and they go, oh yes, I can see what they're saying here, but what about blah 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 blah? And all those children arrive in the next day with the counter arguments that they learned in the church. That's how you deal with that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's actually right. But the problem is that
it's a lot of work.
In many cities, we've had certain types of mayor that no longer wanted to do that because they themselves hated America. And so they would put no money or efforts into being able to do large scale things like that, which they used to in the old days.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't do it anymore. So, and I don't think American parents, for the most part, are either willing to put the time in or have the time to put into it anymore. And it's sad.
The other thing that they have done is they have made fucking life impossible.
Yeah.
They have made it so every family needs to have two parents working for it to financially survive. They've put all sorts of undue requirements on the people by upping taxes and doing all sorts of stuff. That means that they actually don't have the time that they would have had in bygone days. That's really sad. One of the things that the Industrial Revolution did was it changed the way families worked, because prior to that, the kids would have generally been with the parents all day while they worked in their home state or whatever.
That's correct.
Then the Industrial Revolution came in. We come up with this 8-hour working day. Mostly 10-hour working day, sometimes 12, where the father at least definitely would be away from the very early morning and arrive home knackered at night. And the mother would probably have to do other errands during the day.
Right.
And then that made provided schooling an absolute blessing. Because you're going to teach my child, and I can do this other stuff while you're doing, but you're going to teach my child and give them a chance to advance themselves better than what I had, and without realizing that free education came with a bunch of fucking ideology. Even back.
And the other thing is they in the United States, when they started doing public schools the way they are today, right? The idea was to teach the child to know literally how to go to work in a factory and work a factory his life, buy a house, get married, have kids. Mm-hmm. So that's what it was for. Today, at least here in public schools. Now, some public schools are blue ribbon around here and they're very nice, but there's just too many that just teach liberal garbage. It's an indoctrination center for socialism. And you know, the Marxists always go after the children, right? But it used to be where they were preparing you for life. Today we have schools that graduate people that don't know how to read. And you know, Newt Gingrich years ago, he was a former Speaker of the House. He used to say that about 60%, maybe higher, of students are graduating high school and they can't read their diploma. Now, he caught a lot of shit for that. And then he held up one of the kids at his local school's diploma that was Latin on it. And he said, they don't know what this means. Right? And people go, so what? It's a dead language. You know, they used to teach you things that made you think. Right? That's what algebra is today. I mean, who uses algebra in real life unless that's the field you went in, right? But it made you think. And if you can think in that class, maybe you'll be able to think better in your other classes.
What use is any contract you can't understand?
Exactly. That's exactly right. That's what I'm trying to say. And he pointed out, you know, if you can't read your diploma because there's Latin on it, and we no longer teach that. In the United States, we used to teach civics. Not that long ago, right? They stopped it. And it was basically how to be a good citizen, how to be a good neighbor in your community, right? And they stopped teaching it. And believe it or not, when you stop teaching that, kids grow up and they don't understand how to be a good citizen. They did this intentionally, by the way, because they didn't want them to be good. They wanted them to be good little socialists is what they wanted, and they wanted their votes. They took it away.
I was taught how our parliament works before I left primary school. And that's at age 10, 11.
Right.
Now, granted, it wasn't the fucking fully technical explanation that you would expect now, but it was enough for me to understand exactly what to look at 10 years later. And the basic functions of it and how laws are created and how it works in our country.
Right.
You know, I don't think they're taught that now.
Mm. I got another story I want to do. I got some weird ones this week, but I think they're really good. Let me bring it up. You guys know Helen Keller, right?
Yeah.
Heard about her and all that? Well,
yeah.
History's biggest hoax, the Helen Keller story, is fake.
Yes. Oh, yes.
It's fake. Okay, let's get into it. Oh, yeah, yeah. Blind faith. We'll get into it. Here we go. Jet here. I think Jet's the only writer there. Well, there's a Greg, too. Most people don't question the Helen Keller story because it was shoved down their throats like one of those sacred American legends you were just supposed to swallow and accept. We were told she was a brave child, a miracle teacher, and a miracle triumph. End of story. But the second you stop nodding along and start asking some obvious questions, the whole thing gets weird real fast. Today's questions about this miracle lady get uncomfortable real fast. Does the version of Helen Keller we were taught about in school actually hold up once you look at how her words, ideas, and accomplishments were supposedly produced? No. Not at all. Once you strip away the legend, the lure, and goofy gaps start piling up. We were told that Keller lost her sight and hearing as a baby, and then after years of total isolation, somehow went on to become not just literate, but totally sophisticated, politically savvy, and wildly prolific. And we believed it. We did. She wasn't just some miracle success story. She was a 1 in a million intellectual force of nature.
Yeah,
now,
Rich,
yeah.
Can I just add something?
Sure.
Not only was she all those things, but she invented a Braille language and somehow picked the same 26 letters that we fucking use.
Right.
With no access to them ever.
Oh, we're gonna get to how she was able to do this.
Oh yeah,
we'll get to it. Now that right there should have raised a bunch of red flags, because if this miracle were actually possible, where are all the other Helen Kellers? For real. That's one of the biggest problems with the story. These days we have better medicine, earlier intervention, special education, assistive technology, and a lot more scientific understanding than people had back in Keller's time. And yet, we still don't see a steady stream of people from the same starting point as her producing what she supposedly produced. Sure, there are a few sort of remarkable cases, but nothing that even comes close to matching the scale, complexity, and comically absurd lure attached to Keller's name. So then there's this little ditty. Helen Keller was never operating solo. For decades, everything passed through a woman named Anne Sullivan, the teacher, interpreter, guide, gatekeeper, and basically the human filter that existed between Keller and the world. Later, Sullivan's husband, a literary critic, entered the picture and also helped shape Keller's written work. So now the question is, how much of what the public read as Helen Keller was actually Helen Keller, and how much was being shaped, polished, translated, edited, or flat out created by her handlers? Because once Sullivan was out of the picture, Keller's writing changed. Her work became less ambitious, less intellectually strong. Why? Because if the brilliance was always Helen's, then why does the output change dramatically once the key people around her are gone? Then you get into the plagiarism scandal from when she was young, and things get even messier. Helen was plagued by borrowed language, lots of paraphrasing and ideas flowing to her through other people, then being spit back out with some very fuzzy lines about authorship. Was Helen some amazing woman? Maybe. But the problem was that the public was sold such a more miraculous version than reality could honestly hold up. Yes, a wonderful, even remarkable woman may have been there, but the polished myth, the one every day was taught without any question whatsoever, starts falling apart the minute scrutiny enters the chat. Back in the old days, a legend like this could harden into fact pretty quickly because very few people had the tools, information, or the nerve to challenge it. Today, people can come back, compare timelines, examine how it all supposedly worked, and ask the tough questions that start blowing holes in the theory. The Helen Keller story isn't untouchable anymore. And the more layers you peel back, the more the myth starts to crumble. But guys, we're only scratching the surface. Once you really start pulling the threads on this story, a hell of a lot more things start making sense. This breakdown goes much deeper into these cracks and shows exactly why the Helen Keller story you were told is a lie. The real takeaway here is this. Much of what we were told about Helen Keller's life reads like propaganda, likely for political reasons, but that's a different blog for another day. Her legend and lure were built so carefully that for decades they were treated as too sacred to examine. But once you finally do examine it, the miracle starts looking more like a feel-good myth people wanted to believe than a real story anyone ever truly proved. The Helen Keller story held up for decades because nobody looked too closely. Bam.
Interesting.
Isn't it? Think about that. We all know about this woman and we wanted to believe it, right? But
they made a movie about her.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was always very, very dubious that somebody who was deaf, dumb, and blind, couldn't see, couldn't hear, never had conversation with anybody, could invent a language, and it just happened to be fucking English.
Yeah.
You know, that how does that happen? That she gets all the same words we have, all the same letters, and you know, why was it not Russian that suddenly fucking came to her?
Yeah. I know. Think about that. But think about it. She was blind and deaf.
Yeah.
And yet she was able to write books.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, is there enough time in a lifetime to actually teach someone like her all the words, all that? I mean, you can't hear and you can't speak. You can't speak.
Yeah, I always thought it was funny because when I learned about Helen Keller, I learned that the way she learned to actually speak was that her nurse, caretaker, guardian, whatever,
Anna Sullivan,
basically put her hand up to her throat, put Helen Keller's hand up to her own throat. So when she was pronouncing it, I always thought, how is that going to make me pronounce something?
Yeah, it's kind of bullshit
that I can't hear.
But then that nurse that put the hand up your throat, then interpreted the moans and groans and grunts or whatever it was as whatever she happened to want the Helen Keller to say at the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it sounds like to me.
To be fair, I don't think Helen Keller knew anything about any of this, and I think that the people around her should be done for fucking abuse.
Yeah. But like think of this. How do you start with someone when they reach the age that they're able to learn something, right? How do you even start with a system that says, okay, when you say or get something right, I'm going to do this? You know, how do you make that person even understand that?
Oh, you need to look into the history of her nurse care or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, look into that one. Let's say there was her whole career was built upon her whole career was going nowhere until she went to care for Helen Keller from some mystic thought that she had to go and care for this person, and suddenly it started sputting out books.
Yeah. Speaking of books, this is a shameless plug. Stay tuned for more shameless plugs on the RPW. These books are mine. They're on Amazon right now. The Dark Truth Behind Fairy Tales, the real medieval crimes, tragedies, and forgotten history that inspire the world's most famous stories. That's a cool one. I like doing that one. The research was awesome. Stone Age weirdos with power tools, the bizarre, brilliant, and barely believable tech that ancient humans built before history was supposed to be smart. For example, my favorite one that I found out on this one was the Romans had a formula for concrete that has been lost over the years, but it was so much better than what we have today. In fact, they have pillars that they built in the ocean, right? That 2,000 years later, not a bit of erosion.
Yeah,
and go ahead.
For some reason, we've not ever been able to replace Roman or what's the word I'm looking for? Reproduce.
Right. We lost the formula.
Yeah.
I know that lime was a part of it, but we've just lost the formula. And this one is the opposite of that one. This one was like how everybody thinks. In fact, my pastor last Sunday said this. He goes, look, the people back then in ancient times, he goes, they were not fools. They didn't have calculators, you know, they didn't have the things, computers and all that, but they did things with precision. That's what that book's about. That's what it's about. It's about how there were things that they did that were so precise that you're marvel at it. Like, how did they know to do these things? And it was because they didn't get involved with so what is the material and the makeup of, you know, this concrete and these boards? Like, what exactly no, they just did what worked. and they improved on it every time someone came along. This one is the exact opposite. History's Greatest Face Plants, a darkly funny fact book of ancient disasters, catastrophic mistakes, and civilizations that actually wrecked themselves. Those were the fuck ups in the ancient times. Then this one, When Small Things Break Empires, Forgotten Revolts, Accidental Uprisings, and When Ordinary People Changed History. Yeah, so they're pretty cool. I have another one. Where the hell is it? There it is. 2,500 funny Facebook statuses. I did that back in 2017 because I was bored and I took all my Facebook statuses and put them in there. But I have 2 more that I've written. I just haven't pushed them yet. I haven't sent them out to be edited. So, but I will. But I thought I'd share that. Let's shut that off. Okay.
Yeah, just so you know, I'm going to have to skip right at 7 because I got to make it down to the pharmacy.
A likely story.
So, well, I can come up with better stories if you want.
Okay, yeah, that would be great.
I don't need your excuses. I've got a bunch of them myself.
You've got a whole bunch of excuses yourself. Yeah. Here's one. Get this. This is great. This is a video. And I had the same reaction. I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to beat this? Watch this video game. There he goes.
Exactly what is going on here? I know it's Mario.
It's Mario at the bottom. You see him?
Yeah.
Yeah, but how's he? Like, how do you beat something like that? Because you gotta play it like probably 1,500 times to learn all the moves together. Like, how did he just do that? Like, look at this.
No. This is not real.
No, it actually was.
No, this is not a human being doing this.
Oh yeah, it is.
Oh yeah, it is. Oh, trust me, those young kids can. Oh. They can do that. I was very good at video games. I don't know if I'd be able to learn that if I had enough time to.
You learn that about 5 seconds at a time and get killed and get killed.
And you go back and you remember how you died and then you avoid it and then you go back again and you die again. Yeah.
For that, like the time, you're telling me this was a human being.
Hold on. Say that again. Jade.
You're telling me this was a person. I don't believe it.
Yeah. Oh, I do. Yeah. I've played games like that. Now that would have been tough to learn all that. I'd have gotten killed so many times. I'd have to really stick with it. But yeah,
that one's over the top.
No, it was real. It's real.
Oh, I could clean Sonic the Hedgehog on one hedgehog.
I was a Galagala champion.
Yeah, you know
I had moves that the kids in the store, when they were watching me playing the 7-Eleven, they were like, "Oh my god, how did he do that?" And I just start laughing.
Yeah,
I was a Pac-Man freak too.
Oh, I love the thing about Pac-Man was different machines at different maps.
Yeah.
There was a Pac-Man that came. It was in like a coffee table.
Yeah.
I had those maps down. That was fucking cool. I loved that one.
Yeah, it was great.
I played Doom.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that wasn't on a game in an arcade. I played it too. I love that game. Here we go. Here's Kamala. Aren't you glad Kamala lost? Watch. Look at this. What the hell is this? Oh, good Lord.
What the hell was
that? What the hell was that?
I don't. It's one.
She could have been president.
It's one of those weird moments when you're looking at something and going, "I hope this is AI," but I don't think it is.
It wasn't.
But Rich,
this was
for the love of God, make her go away.
I know. Here's another one. This is good though. This guy does a deadlift of 500 pounds.
Oh, I got to see this.
And he collapses. Watch this. Watch this. Watch.
Oh.
Yeah, not good.
That hurt me.
Not good.
That hurt me watching.
Yeah, I know. It's went all the way back. And the thing landed on him.
Yeah. Okay, Rich.
Yeah.
I'm out of here.
Oh, you taking off?
Yeah, no, I said I gotta leave at 7.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's 7 o'clock now. Okay.
Yeah, 7.
Hang on a sec. Look, he's fine. He's fine, but man, he was messed up.
That looked like it would have been something that hurt.
She just asked him, "Did you faint?" Did you faint? All right, Jade, thank you very much. Guys, we're going to call it a night. 42 Sensum and Mr. Pakka, wherever you went, God bless you. You guys made the show. Thank you very much. I love having you guys here.
Good night, 40. Good night, Sensum. Thank you for coming aboard.
Take care.
All right, you're taking off, Jade?
Yeah. Are you closing it down?
Yeah, we're going to shut it down, but we're probably going to talk for a little bit afterwards.
Okay. Yeah.
If we're still here, let's check in.
So later.
Yeah, guys, thank you very much. Hit that like button if you haven't already. God bless you all. I love you all. Happy Easter, everyone. Here we go. And we are